Welcome live, everybody, to Checkered Flag Interactive here tonight. We are live from Daytona International Speedway. It's Checkered Flag Interactive here. I'm Steve Bonesteel, alongside Shane Doherty and Petey J. Zeller here tonight for the 8th annual I've Got Ballz 250. We've been here for 6 or 7 of the years, and we're here yet again. As we get ready to take the green flag tonight, we have over 40 drivers getting ready to take the green flag here for 100 laps at Daytona International Speedway. Not just Daytona, but the 2007 version of Daytona, the bumpy version. May you have that in your mind as well. Every single bump accurately modeled by iRacing. It's all brought to life here for 40 plus of the best iRacing drivers. $700 on the line tonight. One of the biggest races in iRacing history. And guys, we had over 100 drivers sign up to participate, and now we're down to the 40. And it's time to go racing almost. We're just about 10 minutes away from the green flag. Shane, Petey, welcome. I'll be down on pit lane calling the action down here and keeping you guys updated. You guys are up in the booth. What are we watching for tonight?
Well, Steve, it's always a pleasure to be in the booth here for this event here. Today we have the 8th running of the I Got Ballz 250. Petey as well. Hopefully going to have a great event tonight. Some things we'll look forward to. Obviously, big field, old surface, bumpy surface. So handling, always a big topic when we come here. So we'll see how handling is, and just a lot of these drivers. Some of these guys, they've been in these events for many years. Others, this might be their first time. So all kinds of different experience levels out there, and plenty of things to watch along with some others. But for sure, it should be a pretty good night.
Yeah, and Shane, Steve, always a pleasure to be alongside you guys. Glad to be here for yet another I Got Ballz 250. But one thing I'm gonna really keep my eye on tonight is the tri-oval. You know, a lot of people kind of look at the bumpy corners as maybe the most difficult part of the track to maneuver. But in my short iRacing career, what I've realized is that tri-oval on Daytona 2007, the back of the car gets really very, very loose because it gets so light, and that's part of the track that can really mess with some drivers.
Yeah, for sure. The tri-oval can be pretty dangerous here, but we've got a lot of talented drivers through the field. We've got, I believe, 6 or 7 of the previous I've Got Ballz 250 winners in the field. Some of the notables I'm looking at: Brandon Cruz-Montevich. We got Brandon McKissick in here. We got Sean M. Butler. Not necessarily winners here, but drivers I always watch for when we go to these super speedways. Of course, Jose Solis Jr., Seth the Merchant. He's going to be rolling off on the front row. Colin Keister. We've got several of these iRacing pro drivers in the field tonight. I think we have an average strength of field for this race around 4,000. So that tells you something about the drivers we have signed up tonight. Logan Clampett, Malik Ray, all these big names in the field here tonight. So we are going to have one heck of a show on our hands here tonight at Daytona. I'm excited. I know all the fans watching at home are excited. There's a chance for all of our viewers to win $5 for your iRacing recharge. I know that's not much, maybe, but it gets you iRacing a little bit longer, and it gets you maybe a little bit closer to that next car that you want. So that's on the line as well for our viewers. But for all the drivers down on the track, 40 of them or so, oh man, it's going to be a race of attrition. 100 laps here with force feedback over all of the bumps and the corners. You feel it in your arms unless you have force feedback turned off. The time you're done running 100 laps here, Petey, Shane, oh man, your biceps are feeling it.
Oh, for certain. The force feedback and the steering wheel that most of these guys have, the G27s and whatnot, they certainly get to you, and I know what you're saying there, Steve. After you run around here for long enough, you feel it in your muscles. It's a brutal place to race and a brutal place to kind of maneuver your race car through, because you can be trying to make a move in the corner, go underneath someone, you hit one of those bumps, and next thing you know, there's a big wreck.
Yeah, not only that, obviously with the speeds these guys are going around here, it makes it just that much more treacherous. These guys aren't doing a cakewalk around here, going over 200 miles an hour at chances, and that's why we always talk about handling. We'll continue to talk about handling, and I'm sure it's going to come down to who wins this race, is who's going to be able to handle their car the best and kind of get to the front and stay there. And obviously, just to the changing track and also the conditions with the sky and weather and stuff, all of those things incorporated into the race here on iRacing, and that's just going to be another thing they're going to have to battle.
Yeah, we are so excited to see here. So this is I think it's the first year that I've Got Ballz 250 had the dynamic track conditions fully enabled. Last year, I do believe the first race we did was like the Talladega 500 or something with these guys, where we had the dynamic weather and sky conditions. Well, here for the first time ever, we've got those things in the I've Got Ballz 250. And believe it or not, at a super speedway, those things do play a pretty big role. If you get a cloudy condition going through these corners, all of a sudden your car's going to have a ton of grip. Maybe you get that for 5 or 6 laps. Now with this new tire model on the service, that plays into everything as well. But then all of a sudden you throw it off into 3 and 4. The next time by, you're going 205 miles an hour in a pack. It's sunny, you don't have any grip, and then you push up the track. So every single lap could be a little bit different depending on what goes on with the clouds here. But we are 5 minutes away from getting down to the green flag. These guys, there's only 2 drivers that are locked into the front row. Everybody else is going to have to qualify their way into depending on where they want to qualify. And let's talk a little bit about strategies here at Daytona. I've seen a little bit of everything. Some guys stay up front. They want to stay 2 by 2 by 2, or maybe even single file out. Some guys want to ride at the end of the first pack, and then some guys just want to ride on the lead lap and hope they stay out of trouble here. It's Daytona. The big one is more than likely going to happen. I don't think I've ever seen an I've Got Ballz 250 without that big old wreck. So we'll have to see what happens here. Shane, Petey, Shane, over to you first. What do you think we're going to have to watch out for strategy and pit road? What do we have to watch out for here?
Well, I guess one thing we can't look past is the fast repairs that these guys have. Because it is a hosted event on iRacing, you do have fast repairs. Looks like for this event we have 2. So that's going to be pretty easy early on to kind of put that in the back of your mind and take it for granted. But if we do see quite a bit of wrecks, which in these events sometimes, especially towards the end, we do see a fair amount of wrecks, some of those guys use those up. And then they get in a situation where they're battling for the lead and we see another wreck and now they're out of the event. So it'll be interesting to see, being only 100 laps. You know, some people might just stay back and ride the whole race and, you know, maybe never really worry about that. But there's definitely going to be a fair amount of guys who want to go to the front. They're going to stay there and they're going to do whatever it takes to be there at the end. So it's all going to come down to keeping your car clean, I guess, and managing what you got.
Petey, down to you. What are your thoughts?
I'm with Shane there. It's going to come down to keeping your car clean, especially early in the race. Some of these guys are going to be very aggressive. Everyone has a different strategy on their mind, whether they want to race for the lead the whole race or want to kind of hang out in the back. I think the key to this race, though, early on, make sure you don't get any damage to your car. Stay out of the wrecks. Make sure you have a car to fight with 20 laps to go.
And definitely everyone's going to have to be biding their time and trying to make sure that they're there at the end. We've got green-white checkers as well, for the first time actually enabled in the server. We used to do them in the past. We had to do them manually. We'd have a 100-lap race, but we'd actually set it to 120 laps or so, and we'd do it manually on the broadcast, but now iRacing finally has them implemented here. Those things are going to play a role, but if we get 3 green-white checkers, that last one, if chaos breaks out, we're going to the checkers no matter what. So we'll have lots of things to watch as all of the big names here in the field, they are running their qualifying laps, trying to figure out where they want to be. What do you guys think for bump drafting and alliances here tonight? The 2-car tango, non-existent at the 2007 layout here with all the bumps, but you still need friends to tango with out here on the track.
Yeah, you definitely do, and I think the biggest thing with this being the old Daytona surface, you know, the new one being smoother, much easier to bump draft, get a train together and kind of, you know, hold your line. But this track, you're just trying to hold your line, you know, going single file and just driving your own car. So, I mean, we might see some bump drafts down the straightaways, I think, potentially in the tri-oval, but that's usually where we see trouble in the turns, is when guys try to get too close to each other and really try to push on those back bumpers, especially with the different manufacturers. These are the older Cup body styles, but there still is some discrepancies between them. So definitely not out of the question that we could see a wreck caused by bump drafting. So that'll all be something these guys will have to look into.
Yeah, one of my favorite things about this race actually is the lack of bump drafting, and having friends is important, don't get me wrong. You want to have guys near you that'll give you a bump at the end of the straightaway and help you get a little more speed and momentum heading into the corner, but really this is kind of an every man for himself race. You kind of got to make your own moves, put yourself in the right positions to get to the front, and it's nice to have help every now and then, but this is mainly on each and every driver in their car out for themselves.
And it's every single driver really out there trying to manage themselves, also keep themselves in a good position. But I've been asked a couple of times as of late, why do you call this the I've Got Ballz 250? Well, if you don't know why we call this the I've Got Ballz 250, you need to run this race or run something similar to it, because this track is tough. This is not Daytona where you have one hand on the wheel, you got your drink in your other hand, and you're just kind of driving in a line. That is not what this race is. You're driving at 200 plus, neck and neck with some of the best drivers on iRacing, and these bumps, they throw you around, force feedback or not, your car is not stable at any point on the track. I don't even think down the straightaways, on the back straightaway you're stable, because I know sometimes I've ran this race in the past, you're going down the back straightaway, you're fighting those bumps, your car's trying to jostle, you're getting bumped at the same time. There's nowhere safe on this track unless you're sitting in pit road ghosted. So we are getting ready here. Qualifying is wrapping up, and it looks like we're getting ready to go down to the grid for the I've Got Ballz 250, the 8th running here, and we're live on Checkered Flag Interactive. Thank you everybody for tuning in live here on CFI. It's going to be Petey, Jay Zeller, and Shane Doherty leading you through the lap-to-lap action. I'll be up here on pit lane, keeping an eye on everything and all the strategy you need to know. I'm going to turn it over to PDJ and Shane Doherty down on pit road to run through the qualifying order. Of course, we do have two drivers that are going to be moving up to the front of the field after the duels last night. But other than that, everybody's set in off the qualifying session we just had, so I'm going to turn it over to you guys down on pit road.
Sounds good, Steve. And as we wait for these guys to grid up, we do have two drivers coming to the front at the moment. The session will not line those guys up front, but they will come to the front as we get ready for the race. Judging by qualifying times, we have Brandon Howe, did win, or was the fastest car in qualifying. He ran a 47.3, so pretty impressive. And then on the outside of him, Garrett Lowe in the 06 car, he's going to start second.
Yeah, then moving back another row, Colin Keister ran the third fastest time, so he will be starting from, I believe, 5th it will be when they send the two cars to the front, and then starting from 6th will be Gabriel Marcia.
Seth the Merchant's going to go ahead and start in the next row, and to his outside, the 00 of Adam Samsel.
Moving back another row, we got Nicholas Doucette in the 51 machine, and on his outside, the number 4 is Tyler Head.
Next row, we got Parker Alexander in the 45 car, and then a longtime veteran of the series, 54 car, Brandon Cruz Monsaves.
Brandon actually the defending winner of this race. Moving back one more row, you got Christian Budd in the number 50 Ford machine, and on his outside in the number 13 is Justin Noblock.
Next row, we got the 3 car, Ryan Williams, and his outside, the 31 car, Jimmy Davis.
And starting on the inside of the next row is the number 32 of Evan Mellinson, and his outside is the number 87 of Blade Witt.
Next row, we got the 29 car, Matthew Molnar, to his outside, the 35 car of Sean Butler.
Moving back another row, we got Andy Trupiano in the 07, and in the 01 is Nick Kessler.
Justin Wilson in the 58 car will make up the next row, and to his outside, the 09 of Chris Wentz.
In the number 40 machine, Pro Series driver Logan Clampett, and on his outside, the number 27, Martin Porter.
Other pro competitor, Malik Ray in the 42 car will start in the next row, and to his outside, Blake Neer.
Moving back one more row will be the number 28 of Dylan Roberts, and on his outside, the number 94 of Brennan McGee.
Tom Wetmore and Andrew Farinez will make up the next row.
Then you got Ryan Kuhn and Brandon McKissick.
Aaron Smith and Jarrett Liebert will make up the next row.
And then we got Jose Solis, Justin Roden, Ali Osman, Jeff Drake, Jonathan Hernandez, Kian Raleigh Howell, John Poole III, Philip Snips, and Jim Duda will clear out the field, Shane.
Yeah, right now we are pacing behind the pace car here. All the drivers are doubled up as we move through 3 into 4. Everybody's ready. They're ready to go into 1 and 2. That first time through 1 and 2, the cars are going to handle, they're going to handle all right. But by the time you make it into 3 and 4 down that back straightaway, we're going to be up to speed. We're going to be through the gears, and things are going to get wild here. So the pace car is going to be pulling off here as we get ready for 100 laps at Daytona International Speedway. Over to you guys as the pace car pulls on off, and we are green flag racing.
We are green, green, green underway, and on the front row, Seth the Merchant on the inside. Got a good jump. He'll lead the inside line out to an early lead. Up top, Brandon Lowe just didn't quite get going, so the second line will move back. Let's see if the current second place driver, the 8 machine of Colin Keister, jumps to the outside.
It's going to be interesting to see early on who's going to try to get to the bottom and who's going to try to team up with potential friends on the outside lane. It's going to be 2x2 heading down the backstretch for the first time, and it looks like guys are going to try to settle it.
Yeah, Keister did jump to the outside. Now he gets a push from Lowe on the high side. Keister making an early move for the lead. Who wants to get back to the stripe to lead lap number 1? We will find out momentarily as the Merchant back on the low side makes a good pitch for it. Here they come off of turn number 4. It's going to be awfully close to the stripe to see who's going to lead lap number 1, but I do believe it's going to be Colin Keister in the 8 car taking the first lap.
Yeah, it was neck and neck there on the front stretch, Colin, just with the advantage on the outside. They're going to be continuously side by side into one.
Yeah, they continue to race side by side. The Merchant on the low side, he now has help from the 51 machine. That is Nicholas Doucette. Doucette already made his way up to 3rd after starting in the 7th position, so must have been a very good start off the jump for him. On the high side, though, it's again Keister pulling away with a little bit of a gap. He does have room to come down to the low side if he wants to. Let's see if he will. He will not. He chooses to continue to work with Lowe on the high side.
Yeah, so far we're not really seeing one line get an advantage. The outside has the run down the straightaways, the turns, shorter distance. The bottom side still side by side, neck and neck here as we complete another lap.
I do want to apologize. I've been calling Brandon Howe Garrett Lowe. That's Brandon Howe in 4th position right now, helping Colin Keister, but that is that 83 machine on the outside. So they continue to race up here near the front of the field. Meanwhile, towards the back, we're pretty much side by side all the way through. We do have 2 packs that have started to form. However, in the back, there is a little bit of a small pack that's begun to form, but nothing too wild yet. But we'll certainly keep an eye on that as the race continues to go on. Also, Philip Snipes, he is 1 lap down. Looks like the 98 car having early issues.
Yeah, potential problem there. We'll have to check in at that at one point. Get back to Garrett Lowe. You were talking about him. He's actually up there as well. He's the 3rd car in the outside lane. So despite both those guys being close to the front, not quite able to get that outside lane to the lead, as it's still going to be Seth the Merchant on the inside. Colin Keister leading that outside lane, but just not able to clear for the bottom.
And we did have a little bit of an incident there, but no caution. Blake Neer got tapped by somebody, and it sent him into the wall, so his car has severe damage. I imagine he will, he's not going to come down pit lane, but that car is in a lot of damage. His night is probably just about over with that damage. Back up front, though, the racing continues to be pretty good and action-packed as the leaders go at it. Up top is the Merchant in the lead. Here we go on the low side. The 51 machine of Doucette makes a move, and Doucette's back out front.
Yeah, early on, just noticing, the lack of handling that so far is the biggest thing. I know it's the start of the race. You got a fresh track, fresh tires, but just these guys side by side, continuously around the track. It seems like they're pretty comfortable around. They're able to just kind of stay off each other in the turns, and it seems like double file is going to be pretty easy early on in the run. We'll have to watch that as the tires degrade, see if that's going to be a bigger problem later on.
All right, we had another car come down pit road, Jonathan Hernandez in the 41. Not sure what the issue was there for Hernandez, but he came down pit road, so he's going to be about a lap down. Also, we did have our first second pack start to form. John Poole the 3rd, Andrew Farniers, and Ali Osman have all fallen 10 seconds behind the lead pack, so a little bit of some strategy going on here early, but back up front, Doucette is continuing to lead with some good pushing behind him from Parker Alexander. Alexander in that 45 car doing an excellent job right now, keeping the 51 out front.
Yeah, he definitely is. Seth the Merchant moves up to the outside lane with Colin Keister now, and that is going to open up the bottom, and same story so far. Single file, really no one getting the advantage. The inside is more populated at the moment, but the outside continues to hang around regardless.
Great racing going on here early in the race up front. Impressed with how clean these guys have kept it throughout the first 6 laps, saying that knocking on wood, of course, but it's been awesome to watch these guys, and we knew they were going to put on an excellent race. Here early on, though, one thing to really take notice here is these guys have been racing side by side. This is really only a 2-lane track, though, so for everyone who started mid-pack and maybe wants to try to make their way up front, there hasn't been a whole lot of real estate to take.
2 wide is definitely not the easiest thing around this bumpy surface. I can't imagine 3 wide in the turns. We'll have to monitor if that happens at one point and if it's done successfully. But so far now, as the laps continue to wind through, that inside lane continuing to stay populated as it always does, but the outside lane surprisingly is degrading pretty quickly here. You got a couple guys in front kind of hanging around, but not a lot of help going on right now in the outside lane, and they're starting to fall back.
Well, guys, I'm sitting here on pit road, and I've got some updates from the crew chiefs down here. They're talking about how quickly the tires are falling off in that outside line. I think one thing we're dealing with here is these right front tires, those right side tires in general. It's a hot track down here. We're about 100 degrees for your track temperature here tonight, and those right front tires are wearing off through the bumps pretty quickly here. So that outside line, they're starting to push a little bit higher up towards the wall, and that inside line's having a harder time keeping it down on the inside. They're scrubbing some speed off, and it looks like that's going to start to string out the speed of the field, and we're going to get some guys starting to fall off here. So there might even be a little bit of tire management strategy, and that's what I'm hearing from the crew chiefs down on pit road, guys up there in the booth. So we'll have to keep watching that, but we're still side by side throughout the entire top 10.
We certainly are, and that lap car you saw the leaders go by was Blake Neer in the 14. Here we go up top on the high side of the racetrack. Parker Alexander, he's going to try to take the lead, and he does. So that's the first lead lap of this race for the 45 crew. We've seen a bunch of different leaders early on in this one. I'm really curious, though, to see when we're going to see some guys, maybe, around 14th, 15th, 16th, try to make some moves to get towards the front, because despite the side-by-side racing, everyone's been kind of calm, not making any sort of aggressive moves. I think around the halfway point of this race is where you're really going to see some guys start to see what the cars can handle.
For sure, and we were just talking about the outside kind of falling apart. Well, right now they've started to materialize quite a bit more in the inside lane, actually. We actually have more cars in the outside lane in the front pack than we do on the inside now, so kind of crazy how times change. But yeah, we continue to see a battle for the lead. We got the 45 car, Parker Alexander, leading right now. He jumped up to the top from the bottom and is continuing to pace the field here as we work on lap 10.
Doing a good job right now is this lead pack, keeping things mean, clean, and green. As a look at some other cars, here's your current top 10 as we run. Running in the first position is Parker Alexander, second Nick Doucette, third Seth the Merchant, fourth Ryan Williams, fifth Colin Keister, sixth Evan Mellinson, seventh Brandon Howe, 8th is Matthew Malner, 9th is Garrett Lowe, and 10th is Andy Trupiano. One thing I'm noticing right now, in third place we have the 3 machine of Ryan Williams. And Shane, doesn't it feel like if you're going to run a 3-car at Daytona or Talladega, you better be a pretty good driver?
It definitely does, Petey, and especially with a little bit of a Dale tribute there. He's got some things going on in the hood that may or may not be Dale Earnhardt's face, but the Intimidator is riding with him today on the outside lane. Could it be the 45 car to bring it to victory lane? Who knows? We'll have to find out.
For certain, we'll have to keep an eye on that as the race goes along. Here we go, a little action towards the middle of the pack. It looks like the 83 Brandon Howe got a little out of line, but he was able to come back down. No one trying to do anything too aggressive yet. Like we were talking about, long race, a race of attrition here. Just want to keep your car in one piece. As we have had a larger second pack start to form. I talked earlier about how John Poole, Andy Farnaz, and Ali Osman had a pack with each other. Well, now joining them is Aaron Smith II and Jeff Drake. So the second pack starting to shape up a little bit of guys that just want to take it easy. Here we go, though, 3 wide for the lead up front. They are 3 abreast, and Ryan Anderson that time, or Ryan Williams, excuse me, will lead that lap as they continue to go 3 wide. The 45's trapped up top.
Yeah, first time 3 wide through the corners. It's going to get tight. They bounce off each other. Contact 8 car, Colin Keister, but they sort it out, and he'll fall back in the line.
A hectic moment there as the 45 almost just had a near disaster. Somehow, some way, though, we got back in line and we're back to racing 2 abreast here. Up front, the leader will be Ryan Williams. On the high side is Nicholas Doucette. We'll see if Doucette can do anything, or Williams, excuse me, can lead his second lap of the race. Behind him on the inside is that number 32 car driven by Mellinson. Mellinson, likewise, has yet to lead a lap in this race. One further update, too. Philip Snipes, the driver who had early race issues, is officially done for the evening. So Snipes' night is done early.
Yeah, it's definitely a tough break to be had at this event early on, especially only a couple laps in. So tough break for Philip. But as we continue to watch the front pack here, these guys, they definitely showing they got some balls early on. There's no fear up there battling for the lead. We just saw 3 wide a couple laps ago. And these guys are still breathing down each other's necks side by side into the turns. And just like that, it goes around.
And caution is out, a big one. The 8 car of Colin Keister barrel rolls down the banking. Williams is done. Melanson is done. Several other drivers collected in that one. A big one early.
Yeah, taking a look at that, I'm sitting here watching that as it all broke down. It looked like that front row just had a little bit of bumper hook there. The number 3 machine got turned. And unfortunately, from that point on, Ryan Williams went straight up the track, right up the bumps. And then everybody else piled in. Colin Keister did the barrel rolls there. Everybody's trying to woe it down. It looks like pretty much everyone within the top 20 was in danger there, as at one point the 8 car of Colin Keister ended up on his roof and he never found his 4 wheels. So it looks like he's going to be taking that tow. Remember, our drivers do have 2 quick repairs. And it looks like a number of guys are going to be using them here after that first one. Taking a look at the Winstel replay here, going into 3 and 4 again. That number 3, he just got that slight bumper hook there. And there's nothing you can do when you're going 200 miles an hour on this surface. There's no grip. There's no way you can get back under it. And unfortunately, from that point on, everybody piled on in. But we had 13 laps of side-by-side and 3 wide racing at times. And at this bumpy surface, that is something to definitely be proud of, because I can barely hold my line at this place. But guys, that's our first big one of the night. It looks like about 12 drivers involved, but most drivers will be able to get back out there at least on the lead lap with new cars with the quick repairs.
Field making their way down pit road at the moment. Most of these guys, even if they were not involved in the wreck, probably coming in for either tires or fuel. This race being 100 laps, you always want to have fresh tires underneath you, especially early on. We'll see how this is going to shake up the running order. A bunch of those guys will probably have to use their fast repairs, being how severe the wreck was, so tough break for them early on.
Yeah, I'm seeing a lot of guys using their fast repairs. One guy that did not that I noticed was the 07 of Andy Trupiano. He just got some rear damage to that car, but really not a ton to the front. He does have a little to the right front. That's the kind of damage that typically to super speedway you'd want to get fixed, but Trupiano is going to risk it for the biscuit here, per se, and going to run with that little bit of damage. But like you were saying there, Shane, I did see quite a few cars use their quick repairs. I'd say probably close to half the field.
And while we do have lots of drivers having to take their quick repair, I want to take this moment here to see if I can't get a ring in with last year's winner, Brandon Cruz Monsivice. Brandon, driver the number 54. It's Steve up in the booth. Do you have a copy driver?
I got you loud and clear, but you might have the wrong driver if you're looking for the guy who won last year.
You know, my stats are probably all screwed up. You know how that goes.
You're good. I mean, I won 2016. Close.
Yeah, 2016 was 2019, right?
Yeah,
you just flipped the 9. But anyhow, so I'm watching you right now. I saw you navigate through that one. You really didn't have too much trouble. What's the racing been like so far for that number 54 machine?
You know, I think this is probably the best setup and the best group of competitors that we've ever had in this event. I think the strength of field's darn close to about 6,000. I know there's a couple peak guys in here and guys with really high I rating with a lot of experience and talent. I mean, you could already see up near the front. Oh, there goes my girlfriend yelling. You could already tell that it's a super intense race. I mean, it's going to be door to door, absolute madhouse racing. But it's going to be close and clean. I know that for sure.
Well, based off that first run, it really looked like it was tough to really start teaming up with anyone. How do you find yourself in the place you want to be? Do you find a drafting partner, or do you kind of just hope for the best and make your way up to the front?
Well, you know, luckily for me, I got quite a bit of friends in this race, so it's not going to be too hard to find a drafting partner, but I think the real issue is going to be when to start pushing up. I think you can only do that when it's about 40 laps to go, and I mean, maybe half. I'm going to start pushing around lap 40, but like I said, with the strength of field, the talent here, it's going to be really hard to really push through the field and get positions. So I think around lap 40, lap 50, and I mean, lap 60 at the latest, that's when you got to start pushing for the win.
Well, one last question before we get ready to go back to green flag racing. I've been walking up and down pit road here, taking shots at all the pit stalls, and that's probably why I got that 9 mixed up. But hey, one thing I heard out there is the tire wear is playing into these cars. About 10 laps in, all of a sudden these right front tires started to give up a little bit on that outside. Is there tire management? How do you keep your stuff fresh as you have to battle on later on?
You know, I think it's not as bad as some people say. I think it kind of sneaks up on them because they don't have as much practice on the setup as they'd probably like. As you can see, all the rubbers being laid down in 3 and 4 right now. At lap 10 into a run, the car gets a bit squirrely on the entrances, and that's really all it is. I mean, it's just a hair looser in the corners, and I think that's what a lot of guys aren't really used to or anticipating. I think the way you can do it is just take 2 tires from about halfway on, and I think you'd be fine. I think if you take 4, you're really putting yourself at a disadvantage because track position is more important than tire wear. At least in my opinion in this race.
Well, you heard it here first, folks. Brandon Montsevice has all of the ideas to get yourself to victory lane here in the I've Got Ballz 250. Brandon, thanks for taking a couple of moments to talk to us. We wish you the best of luck out there. That number 54 machine is looking stout. And I see you got Winstell there on the back of that machine. Good old Lee, check him out. Winstell is also brought to you by the same guys that run the I've Got Ballz 250 every year. So check them out. They've been running for 4 or 5 years here on iRacing. And every season that league gets a little bit better. They're running the V8 supercars, not the new ones, the old ones here on the iRacing surface on the ovals. And I tell you what, that is a ton of fun to watch. So definitely check them out. Winstell Racing League, Winstell Cup. Check them out on Facebook. And Brandon, good luck out there as we get ready to go back to green flag racing.
Thank you very much, viewers. Enjoy the race. Check out Brandon Cruz DFS Fantasy Podcast and DFS Tavern this NASCAR season if you want to win money on DraftKings. Thank you very much.
And Brandon Cruz Montsevice was one of the integral guys for helping to put on this race this year. So definitely check out those sponsors there he had to plug. And Petey, Shane, back up to you guys in the booth. It looks like the pace car lights are off, and you know what that means. So I'm going to turn it back over to you guys.
Yeah, thanks, Steve. And getting ready for the restart. We're going to restart on lap 18, so getting our way into the early third stages of this race and first restart of the event. Interesting to see what these guys do. That first run, side by side for most of the time. We saw 3 wide at one spot, so potentially maybe could be looking to ride, especially those guys who were involved in that wreck. They might just try to stay to the back for now, but who knows? We'll have to find out as we get ready for the green.
Here we come down to the green flag. Seth the Merchant, number 37, will lead them, and here we go. Green flag is in the air, and they're back underway. This time, another good jump on the low side for Doucette and the Merchant. On the high side right now, though, it is Howe who's going to lose a little bit of pace with nobody right behind him.
Yeah, inside gets the initial jump there going into turn 1. We're going to see who can materialize the momentum off of turn 2 so far. Still going to be Seth the Merchant on the inside.
Yeah, the Merchant down low continues to hold his line. As I look through the field, nothing too wild on that start. The Merchant now jumps to the high side. Here we go, the 29 car looking to make it 3 wide. That's Matthew Molnar. Things got a little hectic there between him and Justin Noblock, but they will keep it clean. Noblock now on the low side for the first time this race. We get a look at the 13 car. He's trying to make his way near the front, as it's going to be Doucette now in the lead on the low side.
Yeah, we also got the 35 car, Sean Butler. He makes his way up to the second car on the inside line. And he's going to try to get that 51 car a shove as the outside leads lap 1.
The Merchant back up top, and you know, I've been calling a lot of iRacing races for a long time. I've been on the service since, I think it's been about 8 or 9 years now, and I've been announcing races for 7. And one thing I've seen, no matter what league I call, no matter what type of races they are, if Seth the Merchant is in the field, and I've seen him in a lot of fields over the last 7 years, that is a car that's always near the front. You know, it doesn't matter if he's racing with pro drivers, doesn't matter if he's racing with great road guys, no matter what it is, the Merchant is always fast in his 37 machine. He's such a great competitor to watch.
Yeah, he definitely is. Qualified 5th tonight, and he's been nothing but up front, and now he's leading that outside lane here, trying to hold off the challenge. The inside lane, not a whole lot of help. You got the 2 cars on the inside, then you got the 13 car a couple lows back as they got a car jumping out of the inside now. Guys are flip-flopping lanes, and so far the outside seems like it's preferred.
It does, as now we have Doucette continuing to hold his own there down low. Doucette will now take over that spot as the high side loses all of their steam. Let's see if the 35 machine tries to make a move to the high side. Sean Butler goes high, but Doucette throws a block. Butler comes back down low, and Butler is inside of Doucette as they get awfully close, but it's going to be Butler taking the top spot now as he throws a little block on Doucette, and now he has to come back down low to block low, and that block there will get low loose. Everybody saves it as they're 4 wide. My goodness, what a hectic moment.
Yeah, Garrett Lowe took a peek to the bottom there and just got a piece in that left rear quarter panel. Sean Butler got everyone a little bit mixed up, but he makes the save, rejoins the surface. He's going to lose a bunch of spots, though.
He will. Looks like he's going to be mired right back around 13th or 14th, but considered how it looked there at first, it could have been a lot worse for Garrett Lowe. Up front, that does have things pretty spread out. There's 3 cars on the high side out front. That is Doucette, DeMerchant, and Howe. Behind them, we have, for the first time this race, Justin Wilson making his way near the front after starting 21st. He moves himself into 4th position on the low side as that low line is going to look to make a charge.
Yeah, that killed the initial bottom line we had from the restart. Now a bunch of the guys from the outside, they're toward the top 5 in the front. Now we'll see who's going to choose the inside, as pretty much everyone does there. Seth DeMerchant goes to the outside, trying to get a move on Nicholas Doucette for the lead.
Here we go, a little bump drafting 2x2x2 down into the corners. It's going to be the low side prevailing. That number 51 of Doucette is looking awfully good. That's another car a lot like DeMerchant we've seen near the front for most of this race. Really, that top 3, they've been near the front for most of this race. As finally we have Wilson making a move. He gives DeMerchant a tap down the backstretch. DeMerchant's now going to take over the top spot as that outside line has 4 cars. The low side has 3, and the 4 cars are prevailing right now, although help is on the way as the rest of the field is going to start to catch up. But what this has done a little bit, Shane, is we have like 4 or 5 different little packs now.
Yeah, we definitely do, Petey. Like the top 8 were together there for a couple of laps, and you got a second pack of about another 8 cars. They're trying to reel in these front guys, and then a couple other mixed packs towards the back. Definitely that initial shakeup with the Garrett Lowe situation definitely kind of jostled the field quite a bit.
It certainly did here as we get closer and closer to the quarter mark in this race. Up front is DeMerchant on the high side, continuing to battle side by side for that top spot. DeMerchant doing a fine job with a lot of help from Justin Wilson right now. Wilson in that 58 car, he would like to lead a lap as he's just finally got his way near the front. The other 2 cars we haven't mentioned, the 01 that is driven by Nick Kessler, his first time really being near the front, and also Logan Clampett in that 40 car. We talked about him as one of the pro drivers in this race, and he has now found himself near the front after starting pretty deep in the pack in 23rd.
Yeah, Justin Wilson up there, he started 21st, Sean Butler 18th, and Nick Kessler 20th. These guys have come from literally the middle of the pack up to the top 5 now, and they make up pretty much most of the top 7, so that's a pretty impressive job by those guys. Seems like they are being aggressive, taking what's given to them. They find themselves up front early on.
Yeah, there's really 2 schools of thought when you run a super speedway race, as DeMerchant makes an aggressive move to get himself down low. He is in the lead momentarily.
As these guys, the front couple of guys, they go to the inside, then the outside. They're just trying to judge where the momentum's coming from. They jump up to the outside there, right in front of Justin Wilson, go nearly to the wall. Some guys almost make contact with the wall, trying to get to that upper outside lane of the trial, but somehow they make it work into one.
I tell you what, right now I'm watching on board with Malik Ray in that number 42 machine. He's in 9th, so he's a little bit further back. He's not quite clear of that front pack. He's right kind of towards the tail end of it. But I'm watching on board on that roll bar, and he is just bouncing around that outside line. Looks like the place to be, but I can see the rubber laying down. It looks like that number 83 machine of Brandon Howe on the inside. He has a little bit of damage there that might be slowing him down, that Norton Graphics machine. Well, right now, Malik Ray on that outside line, and rumor has it he's been running third-person screen racing this race. I don't know if that's still true, but I'm watching that number 42 machine right now, and he's on the outside trying to make the best of it. He's right there behind the number 13 of Joseph Noblock. You got Sean M. Butler there as we go double file up at the front of the field. Guys, we're going double file for the lead.
Yeah, we are. As now the 51 machine of Doucette takes a look for that lead. He will take it momentarily. Up top, though, the Merchant continues to try to navigate his way around the speedways. It looks like the rest of the pack has caught up, so things starting to equal out a little bit here, Shane.
Yeah, for sure. These guys still kind of scattered back there, but definitely we've seen more guys come up. They're within 2 seconds of the leaders, and any kind of battling up front where it's going to bring the pack even more together as we're now working lap 27. So far, it seems like these guys are just going in whatever lane works. If the outside's got momentum, they go to the outside. If the inside, they take the shorter distance around. Not really seeing any preferable lanes so far. They're just kind of taking what's given to them, and the outside continues to be the place to be down the straightaways.
It really does look like either lane could work right now, as we've seen drivers get to the top from the high side or from the low side, although the high side right now is where everyone seems to want to be, so we have lots of cars drifting up top. Doucette is the first car in line on the low line. We have him and Clampett leading the two respective lines. As Logan Clampett comes around, he is going to look to lead his first lap of the race, so Clampett will take over that top spot. So we are just past a quarter mark in this race.
Yeah, Logan Clampett kind of missed it there. He made his way from the bottom to the top, and then he took the lead. So he's kind of slicing his way through those top 7, and now Logan Clampett is your leader here. So he has come all the way to the front, and if anyone knows Logan Clampett, he's definitely one heck of a driver, and he's got the lead now, and he's going to be tough to get around for the rest of the night.
Things get a little hectic as they come around the lap Blake Neer. Everyone had to make things wide to avoid him. Neer having a rough night so far. Second time in this race he's found himself in a lap situation. So we'll see if Neer can correct things by the end. Up front, though, the High Line and Logan Clampett continuing to do a good job. The Merchant right now in second place, getting a little aggressive there on the bumper of Clampett. We'll see if he tries to make a move down low. But for the time being, he's going to look to be happy running in second.
Yeah, that inside lane's kind of falling away here. We got Nicholas Doucette. He's leading that lane. He was about a car and a half length off the lead. He's now a full 4 car lengths off the lead in the inside. He's got Nick Kessler following him back there as well. So definitely going to need more cars in that inside lane. If the outside continues to be as populated as it is, it's going to be the way to be. And the inside, you just need more people to commit lap by lap to be able to get that momentum up to the front.
For sure, as we have the 35 car now leading the low line, and nothing really doing down there right now as Butler tries to make a move. He'll move about even now with the Merchant as those two race for second, but just no help for the 35 as the Merchant is going to cut down low, and there is a caution, Shane.
Yeah, there is a caution. Not up front, so we'll have to get a replay and see what happened. It probably is more toward the back. And it actually looks like it happened right around 10th there. Nick Kessler and the 29 car got together. Going to have to get a driver on that. I believe that's Matthew Molnar. Those guys are actually around 10th. They got together down the front stretch in the grass, kind of spun around, and that's what caused the caution.
All right, so second caution early on in this race, but still we're 30 laps in, making good progress.
Yeah, it looked like on that one, it looked like Nick Kessler was right there on maybe the outside of, yeah, they were just racing real tight there. He was on the outside, and it looks like that number 29 machine, he had been struggling for a few laps there. He actually hit the outside wall not too long ago, and it looks like they just kind of collected each other up into that outside wall and spun down across the tri-oval. Honestly, they did a beautiful job keeping it together, and it could have been a lot worse, but we are under our second caution of the night here at Daytona International Speedway, and we're live on Checkered Flag Interactive. Thanks everybody for tuning in live here tonight. It's Steve Bonesteel down on pit lane. I'm just kind of watching and talking to all the crew chiefs and figuring out the pit strategy, but we got Shane Doherty and PDJ Zeller, holy cow, leading them up in the booth there, and we are coming closer and closer to halfway, and we've got ourselves a little halfway giveaway, $5 to a random viewer. All you got to do at lap 50 is post in the chat, and we'll have a reminder at that point. But we're going to step away for just a couple moments here as we're 30 laps into this sucker. It's the I've Got Ballz 250, the 8th annual running here live on CFI. We're going to step away for just a moment. When we come back, we've got the green flag, and we take it a halfway from that point on. And welcome back to Daytona International Speedway for the 8th annual I've Got Ballz 250. Live here on Checkered Flag Interactive. We are getting ready to go back to Green Flag Racing and Steve Bonesteel on pit lane with Shane Doherty and PJ Zeller leading you through all the action. As we get ready to go Green Flag Racing, we should have one to go with the pace car lights probably going off this time by through the tri-oval. We just had our second caution of the night with a little bit of a tangle coming through the tri-oval. Petey, Shane, what do you guys think of the action we've been watching here tonight for the 8th annual I've Got Ballz 250?
Well, so far, Steve, I think it's been pretty much fantastic. These guys side by side, we've seen great battles all throughout the racetrack. It's not just been down the straightaways. We've seen guys be able to be side by side in the turns comfortably. That's something in previous races has been kind of a challenge. Tonight, not so much the case. And because of that, we've seen some great racing. I mean, it's easy to say, but the action kind of speaks for itself. We've seen some great battles for the lead. Plenty of guys have made their way to the front. They've led laps. They've been in positions. And we continue to have, these longer runs, and that's always good to see in events like this.
Well, it's certainly been a lot of fun so far, and I just imagine as this race continues to go on, this is going to be what has been a classic so far, will continue to be one.
And with the pace car lights off, the field is doubling back up, and you know what that means. It's time to go racing. We've got Seth the Merchant and Brandon Howe up in the front row. That's your top two. Then you got Justin Wilson, Brennan McGee, Logan Clampett to round out the top five. Garrett Lowe and Justin Knobloch, 6th and 7th, followed by Sean M. Butler, Tyler Head, and Nicholas Duquette to round out the top 10 here. But the pace car lights are off. The field is ready. They've got those belts. They're all nice and tight. They've got the gloves on. They're ready to go back to Green Flag Racing here. And I'm going to turn it back over to you guys up in the booth here as the pace car gets ready to make that hard left-hand turn down pit road.
Well, thank you, Steve. As we do get ready to go green, it's going to be the Merchant on the low side. On the high side, it'll be Howe. Here they come down. The pace car gets ready to make that hard left-hand turn, and it will. Here we go. Field now in hands of the Merchant. Green flag in the air, and a good jump again for the low side. Low side has had the advantage here on restarts.
Definitely has, as we officially cross through a third of the way to the distance complete. Third down, 2/3 to go. It's been a great first third. We'll see what the next half brings as into turns 1 and 2 side by side, neck and neck, and they make their way down the backstretch.
Yeah, we'll see now as the 58 is going to take the lead away from DeMerchant. DeMerchant got a little out of line there, and he lost the lead momentarily. Here he comes back up top, though, trying to take it away from Justin Wilson. It is Seth DeMerchant up top doing a fine job racing for that lead. He has a lot of help from Howe, but Howe gets a little loose, and that's going to give the inside line the advantage. Here we go now. It's Wilson with help from Logan Clampett down low. Those two making the charge. Behind them, they have no block, so a good formation down low. And now Wilson goes up high to take the block, and he will barely lead that lap over Logan Clampett.
Yeah, just barely jumped up to the outside, and just as we say that, Logan Clampett using the inside lane, he had the lead going into turn 1, but then back to side by side. It's just fantastic to see both the inside and outside have the ability to stay with each other. There's really not one big advantage in the early runs as we see a car go way off the track there at the back.
Yeah, well, you try to get a number on that one, Shane. We'll keep an eye on what's happening here up front. We have the 58 of Wilson. He's continuing to race for that top spot. Clamp it down low, though, giving him a good fight. Cars to note that are kind of out of it right now. Snipes, obviously, is done for the evening, and Blake Neer 1 lap down. Things could be going better for him. Here we come this time by the stripe. Logan Clampett will lead another lap. Good racing action up front. Did you figure out who that car was, Shane?
I was not able to. We'll have to continue to look into that. It might have been the 27 of Martin Porter, because I know he was mid-pack. He came back, but he's all the way back to 40th now, still on the lead lap. Not sure what happened there, but he's well off the pace now.
Well, no matter who it was, an unfortunate break there, but hopefully they'll get another caution at some point, so they will be able to catch back up to the field. Up front, we have a car we haven't kind of talked about a whole lot, the 4 of Tyler Head. Head and that 4 machine have made their way towards the front of the field now as he moves into the 4th spot, and this is the first chance we get to see him race with the leaders, as well as that number 42 car. We haven't really seen a whole lot of Malik Ray, but the Pro Series competitor has also started to smell some blood in the water. He's near the front.
Yeah, Tyler Head qualified 8th. He was kind of outside, the top 7 for the first third of this race. He's all the way back up into the top 5. Tyler's been around these kinds of races for a long time, so he's got the experience and the ability to get it done. So would not be surprised just as we say that, he's going to go around.
That he does. And now no, they saved it up front. No block almost went around. No caution, Shane.
Somehow.
I hope we can pull up a replay of that number 4 machine of Tyler Head, guys. I heard it right there. He was doing well. They did all that jostling. He very well could have come up right in front of the field as I went on board there. He somehow, some way kept it down on that back straightaway into the bus stop. Absolutely incredible job for that number 4. Unfortunately, that's going to put him behind the field. But, man, that could have been absolute calamity down the back straightaway, boys.
Honestly, even better than his save, Justin Noblock in the 13 car almost got turned around by Seth the Merchant in the aftermath of the accident, but somehow Noblock saved it in what was an equally impressive save.
Yeah, it definitely was, and he was able to stay in the outside lane. He's now the 2nd car in the outside lane, trying to take Justin Wilson to the front. The pack was pretty discombobulated, I guess you could say, for a lap or 2, but they are back together, and Logan Clampett continues to lead. Somehow, that was not another huge wreck.
No, it was not, as we have a great race going on here near the front. Up top is Logan Clampett continuing to lead. Right behind him, we have that 42 machine of Malik Ray, so the cream rising to the top of the 2 pro drivers out front. Up top, we have the number 58, that is Justin Wilson trying to make a move for that lead. Just nothing doing there quite yet for him. The outside line hasn't quite got their feet back under him since that incident.
One car to mention has made his way all the way back up to the front. The 8 of Colin Keister. He was on his lid after the first wreck early on in the race. Now he's going to go 3 wide, or he's going to be a part of 3 wide into turn 3. That 8 car's got speed. The driver's got plenty of talent. Colin, longtime iRacer. They're still 3 wide here for the front. These guys, a lot of experience rising to the top.
Yes, they are, and Wilson just trapped in that 3rd lane, as is Noblock. A tough situation for Wilson. He tries to come down, but Howe was there. There was nothing doing. Finally, Noblock's going to get in line. Will Wilson be able to get there as well? Here they head into turn number 1. Will Noblock let him in? Yes, he will, and Wilson has to be really grateful he was able to find his way back to the inside or the outside line, because 3 wide just does not work here yet.
No, it definitely doesn't. And some of these guys, they see you can go 3 wide. They just don't want to. Once they start to see guys in front of them take some guys 3 wide, maybe they feel more comfort to try it. In that case, they did, and it worked successfully for some guys. So as long as they can hold it in the turns, 3 wide again here, you hit one bump the wrong way, you get into the guy, and that's just what causes these big wrecks. So it's going to be hard to see. There's very little margin for error.
Is very little margin for error. This time by, Sean Butler will lead a lap yet again. Been a while since he had led. Logan Clampett slides in behind him as Ray on the outside tries to make a move. Ray has yet to lead a lap. We'll see if he can at some point. A great 3 wide racing going on once again. Seth the Merchant down low. In the middle, Wilson, him and Keister, they didn't make contact, but they couldn't have got much closer there, as this is getting very tense as we get closer and closer to halfway.
Well, as we get ready to come closer to halfway, let's remind each other here, these drivers are racing for some big-time money out here. First gets 150, maybe even plus, depending on the other winnings that they get from the weekend. Second place gets 100, and third place gets $75, and then it goes down incrementally from there. Fourth, 55, fifth, 50, but pretty much everyone inside the top 10 is guaranteed at least 20, if not more, and that's quite the winnings for a race that requires you to pay 0 to enter. And we've got one heck of a race going on here up at the front of the field. Reminder, we do have a giveaway coming up at the lap 50 for our viewers. All you have to do is have a current iRacing account, and you will get $5 recharged to your account to keep you racing, get you closer to that next car or track here as we are coming here. We are on lap 42, coming to 43 here in the I've Got Ballz 250 live on Checkered Flag Interactive. We have ourselves one well-oval race as we go side by side again. Logan Clampett down to the inside.
Yeah, Clampett makes that move down low. He is trying to find his way up front. A lot of help from Nick Doucette and Colin Keister right now, but Shane, as we get closer and closer to halfway, you can almost feel it with just the way the intensity is picked up.
Yeah, these guys, they got a lot more laps under their belt now. They kind of have an understanding of how the car is going to react now in the 3rd run, or after 2 cautions so far. So, yeah, I mean, these guys, they have confidence now, and they're making moves. They're going 3 wide, they're holding it, and somehow it's working as we're 3 wide again. They're going to take Sean Butler here at the outside.
Yeah, Butler gets trapped 3 wide. Now the 42 goes in the wall. 3 wide, still deep in the field. Calamity starting to strike, as a lot of cars just got sideways.
Yeah, Malik Ray looks like he just got loose on his own there. Maybe some side contact. Didn't really see anything. He touches the outside wall. He saves it, though. Malik Ray's a wheel man, so he's able to corral that car, and he continues to charge forward here. As that's actually going to separate a couple of cars by a couple car lengths for the front.
Yeah, Malik Ray, known for wheeling a car on iRacing. He's a guy that certainly no loose cars, so too far from being safe with him behind the wheel. Up front, Clampett now makes a move for the lead. The outside line with the advantage, a lot of help from Brandon Ho. As down low will go Clampett. He cuts in front of Doucette, and now Clampett's back out front as things are pretty spread out through the first pack.
Yeah, Logan Clampett so far demonstrating a somewhat aggressive, approach to this race. He's trying to get to the front, trying to get guys toward the front, and then get around them for the lead. And I mean, you can definitely tell he's on the aggressive strategy right now. He's trying to stay in the lead. He's trying to stay up there, keep himself out of trouble. The only safe place is pretty much the lead for him, and he's doing a good job of keeping it. And he's definitely one of those guys who just wants to put himself in a position later on to be in the front, do the work, and just defend. It's always easier to be on defense than it is to come from offense through the entire field.
Well, while we've got some guys up at the front definitely being aggressive, I want to bring a little bit of attention to the number 50 of Christian Budd, the 46 Ali Osman, 88, and the 54 of Brandon Cruz Monsivice. They're running there from 31st to 35th, and they're only 3.5 seconds off the leaders. But right now, I was just talking to their crew chiefs down on pit road. They're biding their time, saving those fast repairs, planning perhaps for some of those green-white checkers. So we've got plenty of strategies, and these drivers already thinking big picture here, as we've already had 2 accidents, one of them being pretty substantial. We've got a couple of drivers being a little more conservative up at the front, of course. Everyone's still going balls deep in the I've Got Ballz 250. We're still side by side. We've got that inside line making a little bit of a run. And Justin Noblock, that last time by, he broke his way inside the top 10. We got a little bit of jostling on the outside, but Logan Clampett still in front, followed by Duquette, Colin Keister, and Brandon Howe, and Sean M. Butler there as they almost tapped there with Malik Ray down on the inside line, coming off turn 3 and 4, across the stripe. Here they come. It's going to be a battle. Logan Clampett and Colin Keister steals the lap from him.
Yeah, Clampett's been doing a good job keeping his car out front for this run here. Outside line with a lot of momentum right now. Howe coming with low, but Clampett's going to get in their way as the low side has started to take a little bit of the edge here, as they have gotten a lot of good momentum, a lot of good cars running down there right now. Trying to get some more guys up top is the high lines. They can try to even things out a little bit. Clampett doing a good job, though, keeping that outside line running, keeping it moving. I'm going to be curious to see if we see Doucette jump up top, or maybe a guy like the 35 of Butler.
Yeah, that was textbook, just the importance of momentum. Logan Clampett, for some reason, he just had no one behind him coming to turn 1. No one really wanted to work with him. Everyone went low, and he dropped like a rock for a solid 5 to 10 seconds there. He's able to regain some of that momentum. He's back in the outside. That just proves you've got to have guys behind you if you want to make any kind of moves toward the front and stay there. As once again, the outside line now prefers to be the place to be going through turns 1 and 2. It just constantly changes. It's a big-time game of chess match, and you just got to play it right.
Update, Jonathan Hernandez has parked his car, so he is done for the evening along with Philip Snipes. Now we have that high line with all the momentum. It's going to be the 8 car of Keister showing the way. Keister continues to lead this race. Shortly behind him is Butler. Down low we have Doucette and the 42, Malik Ray. Let's see what those 2 guys can do. Lots of good side-by-side action going on all throughout this field as things start to get a little bit tightened up. We have a little bit of 3 wide action going on mid-pack between Justin Wilson, Dylan Roberts and company. Those guys all getting a little wild back there. Lap 49 now in the books. Next time by, we'll be at the halfway point.
And you know, at the halfway point, we got that giveaway coming. So as soon as we hit the cross and stripe there for lap number 50, put your iRacing names down in the chat, and you'll be picked at random. One lucky viewer will get a $5 recharge. Brought to you by the guys that put the I've Got Ballz 250 on. So we're getting ready to cross the stripe here in just a few seconds. So get your keyboards ready, drivers. You'll get yourselves locked in for a chance at $5 here as we're going 3 wide almost in a tri-oval.
Yeah, getting hectic racing for that halfway lead, but it's going to be Colin Keister, so we have passed the halfway point, so you can comment your iRacing names now for a chance to win that reward. But as we're at the halfway point, Shane, do you expect to see anything change in the way this race has been run?
So far, I think it's only going to get more aggressive. It's pretty aggressive right now. The guys in the front, I mean, they're just going all over the place, whatever it takes to get the lead, but it's only going to get more and more aggressive as these laps wind down. We're now, at the halfway point. These guys have pretty much know what they've got. They're just trying all kinds of different things right now, trying to put themselves in position. We saw that 3-wide action midway through the pack. Those guys are trying to get towards the top 10 and then the top 5. You got to put yourself in position to make something happen first before you actually can, obviously.
All right, well, looks like the low side will prevail this side as Sean Butler leads lap number 50, so good lap there led for Butler. Up top, though, the outside line really starting to pop off. They have a lot of cars up there, and I was actually just talking about how the pack was starting to get back together. Well, they have all met. We have about 26-ish cars in this lead pack now, so a big pack here. Something tells me they're not going to be able to keep it too unaggressive for so very long.
Yeah, it seems like it's very organized, but still you see that space. These guys are giving each other plenty of room. You don't really see any guys door riding each other through the corners. So it's very organized and orchestrated very well so far, and that's good to see. It's only going to get tighter as these laps wind down, that's for sure.
Well, this time by, the outside line prevails. It's going to be Logan Clampett leading another lap as we continue to tick him away. One car to keep an eye on, Seth the Merchant talked about him earlier. He continues to run in the middle of the lead pack, a guy that's really kept himself near the front as him and Brandon Howe get very close to touching that outside lane. One guy that I haven't really talked about, though, that I'd like to give mention to would be that number 94, Brennan McGee. McGee has quietly been running near the front this entire race, right on the brink of the top 10, and we continue to see him run on that high line near the front.
Yeah, he started 28th, and he's just been kind of in the middle of the pack the entire time, and it's good to see him make his way into the top 15. Now, there's plenty of guys who have been in the back half of the pack for most of this race that are right around that 10th to 15th spot. They've put themselves in a situation where they can make something happen later on, but, I mean, I guess as we continue to see these laps wind down, we might have a green flag pit stop, something to talk about, could potentially be happening here in 10 to 15 laps.
Yeah, actually, when was that last caution we had, if either Steve or Shane, either of you guys know?
Well, that last caution wrapped up on lap 33, so we've been going for about 20 laps. That first green flag pit stop's about 10 laps away, 10-15 laps away, depending on how the tires are wearing and how the cars are feeling. So definitely green flag pit stops are going to be on the drivers' minds, and the crew chiefs down here on pit road are already talking about them. They want to stretch this fuel run as long as possible to make it only one more stop. It's going to be close. I think they can do it, but one big question mark that they won't be able to get at this point is, will we have green-white checkers? Because nobody will be able to make at least 2 green-white checkers from any point, even if we come down on pit road on lap 60. So we'll have to watch for those GWCs here at the end of the race. But right now, it looks like Logan Clampett's out in charge in front of the field.
He is, and yeah, if they can come down about lap 65 or lap 70, they should be good to make it without green-white checkers. But another question you might want to ask, Shane, would you want tires maybe? Will we see some guys maybe towards the end of this race, if they're good on gas, come down and get tires?
Well, I guess I'm thinking back to the interview we did early on in the event with Brandon Monsivais. He was talking about 2 tires in the second half of the race, using that for track position. I think that's a decent call, but, I mean, I don't know, doing a full fuel run on a 4 set of tires, I would think you want four tires, especially if we do get a green-white checker, because you're probably not going to take tires if you pit during that time. So I don't know, it's going to be interesting. The guys up front, they pretty much have the reins to what they want to do, but, it could be a call for 2 to get track position.
Yeah, I'll be curious to see what people do if it's a green flag pit stop, because if a lot of people go with 2 tires and just a couple drivers go with 4, that'll certainly ruin some guys' day who took 4 tires, because they'll be pretty far behind. We'll have to see how it all shakes down, but we're about 10 to 15 laps away from that, so just something to keep in mind if we don't see a caution. As of right now, Colin Keister continues to show the way. Pretty good battles going on near the front, although it has calmed down a little bit as of late. And as I say that, Malik Ray and Logan Clamp make a dive move to the outside, and Ray goes into the wall. Do they all save it? They do. What a save there.
Somehow we're able to save it. That was pretty crazy. Malik all over the track. He corrals it. We're still double file, top 10 and beyond. And That was a great save. These guys continue to show they can handle these cars really well, and that's impressive.
That was that's why he's a NASCAR Peak Antifreeze Series driver right there, because saves like that as he continues to race aggressively as well after nearly being involved in a huge wreck. He tries to go to the low side of Keister. He barely gets a nose in there and thinks better of it and backs off. So on the high side now it's going to be Logan Clampett trying to make that move up top. Can Clampett get by for the lead? He can't quite this time by. He has a lot of help, though, from a great driver in Seth DeMerchant, as DeMerchant continues to ride right on his bumper. Outside line, though, not getting a ton of help right now, and that little incident right there kind of spread the field out a little bit as well.
Well, right now, guys, I'm talking down on pit road with the number 46's pit crew. That's Ali Osmond down on track. His pit crew down on pit lane saying he's getting a little bit nervous. His driver, followed by Andrew Fernars, as well as Brandon Montevise and a couple other stragglers back there. They are now 15 seconds back from 32nd on back. Pretty much everyone from about 30th on forward is 5 seconds within the leader, but we've got a couple of cars that are straggling, and the only reason is because they've just been trying to save. So right now the pit crew down there for the number 46, they're getting ready. It probably sounds like they're taking a 2-tire stop to try to make up as much time on track as possible, but it really looks like a lot of these guys that are trying to save, they're going to need that yellow. And one thing I just want to bring up, once we get those green flag pit stops, your chances for a yellow dramatically go down. Until you get that entire field broken up, you know, you always have that chance of a guy doing a little bit of bumper hook, something like that. But once you come down pit road, things almost always single file out for at least 10 or 15 laps. And that can make a big difference for these drivers that are hanging out 15 seconds back from the leader.
Yeah, we have some guys coming down pit road. I saw the 51 to do set and a few
big
others.
Trouble almost. Oh, we have contact on pit road. We have multiple drivers going around. The number 45, the number 29, the 58 of Justin Wilson. We have multiple drivers going around. Let's see if we can pull up the replay there of what happened. It looked like a couple of guys smoked it going into pit road. It looked like it started with the number 70 machine. He kind of drove it in there deep. That was Aaron Smith. Aaron Smith started looping around. He saved it, but the number 23, it looks like he caught the inside wall. Or actually, no, that was the 73 machine. He caught the inside wall, and then from that point on, we had calamity down on pit road.
Yeah, it was a situation where you had one car that hit another, and it was just a huge chain reaction. It's like 6 cars on pit road spun around. That's pretty crazy. Like half the field, probably 2/3 of the field right there pitted at once, and that is just not a lot of room for all those cars.
Now, oh, go ahead, Steve.
Well, that right there changes it for some of those guys that were hanging back a little bit further there, Petey, because they might be able to catch back up with some of those guys that they might have got a little bit of damage and they used that fast repair. So that could change things up, but no caution. We stay green here, and we're just past halfway.
Now, one thing I want to say is that those pit stops came in lap 58 and 59. Do we think those guys have enough fuel to make it in a green flag situation?
I'm going to say no. Based on the math I'm seeing down here on pit road, it's either going to be right on the border or they're barely going to be able to make it there, if that. So things are going to get interesting here as we are now 58, now 59 coming laps into this race. A little bit of calamity there on pit road as the field's trying to sort their way back out. We'll have to see what the front pack looks like after pit stops here. Will we have 10, 15, 20 cars, or will we only have 5 to 10 cars? Because that would make a huge difference.
Well, what I'm seeing is we're going to have 3 cars. We have Logan Clampett, Seth DeMerchant, and the 01 machine, who I believe is multiple laps down. So actually, we have a 2-car pack right now with a bunch of lap cars near the front, as Garrett Lowe is going to try to keep up with them, but I don't think he'll be able to. So for a short while, it looks like we're just going to have Clampett and DeMerchant trying to pull away from the field.
Yeah, you saw Garrett Lowe there. He actually just came off pit road, so trying to merge in with his leaders. Looks like he's going to catch some drafting help there. He's got that 15 car behind him. So, yeah, there's not much of a pack right now. Everyone's just kind of jostled because of these pit stops. It'll be interesting to see who can get together with who, and you never know. Maybe we see some guys try to break away from the entire pack.
It's possible. One thing I'm seeing is there's a lot of lap cars mixed in with these leaders right now. As Nick Doucette tries to catch up, he's using help from the lap car, the number 50 of Christian Budd. So A lot of stuff going on right now, but one thing to keep in mind is right now our leaders, Clamp into Merchant, and now we'll include Nicholas Doucette because he's pretty much caught up with them, are all within each other. We're going to have Garrett Lowe also in that lead pack. Behind those, we have another group of 4 cars that are about 2 seconds back, and behind that group of cars, we have another 3 or 4 cars that are 4 seconds back, so a pretty big disparity in the position right now.
Yeah, that 15 car is Keaton Raleigh Howell, and he was helping Garrett Lowe there. So, yeah, as you were saying, Katie, pretty much single file. A lot of these guys just kind of mixed in. It's kind of, hard to tell who is exactly battling who, but we do have a couple cars 1 lap down, close to the leaders, trying to get back on the lead lap the hard way. You always want to put yourself in position late, and obviously being a lap down does not help that. After these pit stops, we'll have to see when they settle in, because they probably can't make it on fuel. Might be some strategy coming down. What I mostly saw there was just 2 tires, so it looks like 2 tires was definitely the call.
Well, it looks like mostly everyone went with 2 tires as we're on lap number 63 now. Keeping an eye on how far back everyone is. It looks as though Garrett Lowe and Brandon Howe have found each other. From what I'm seeing, it looks like we're going to have about the top 8 cars caught up with each other, and then the rest of the field has fallen behind a little bit. From 9th on back, they're losing time to our leaders, actually. So, Shane, it looks like it's going to be about an 8-car pack with Logan Clampett, Seth the Merchant, Nick Doucette, Garrett Lowe, Brandon Howe, Jeremy Davis, Blade Witt, and Justin Noblock if we don't see a caution.
Yeah, you got your top 8 you just named, Petey, and then we got a bunch of guys in their second pack. They're about 4.5 to 6 seconds back. They're kind of riding single file, trying to catch a sniff of that draft, try to draft back up to the front. That's all the way back to the 16th position. Tom Wetmore in the 92 is the last car technically in that pack, and then after that, 15 seconds back, Andy Trupiano, and pretty much everyone behind him way off the pace, pretty much 20 seconds plus. So this is definitely jostled up the field, and we're going to need a caution if we're going to see any big-time side-by-side racing, at least for this point.
Oh, you're definitely. Oh, sorry, Petey. You're definitely right there, Shane. But we jostled up the names, and it looks like it's going to be Tanner Coster and Ian Plash winning the $5 brought to you by CFI and the guys at the I've Got Ballz 250 team. So expect your payouts here in the next day or so when the winnings get paid out. So again, Tanner Coster and Ian Plash, you are the winner of the $5 mid-race reward.
Well, congratulations to you guys. What I was about to say is, with this entire pack, entire field going all out right now, no one can really save fuel with how the 2 packs are set up. I think this is going to turn into a fuel mileage race. If we have some guys near the back, like your Brandon Cruz Monsavices and Ali Osman, who are kind of saving fuel on this run, trying to extend the race an extra 1 or 2 laps, that could be the difference right now. I think it's that close.
Yeah, it definitely could be, and we'll have to see exactly what people decide. Especially for that far back, some of those guys you just named, Petey, well off 20 seconds off the pace. You really don't have a choice but to try to play the fuel strategy game if it's within your possibility. Obviously, the crews know a lot more about that than us, so we'll have to hope that maybe if they do try to save fuel, they can be close. But at this point, the guys up front, they're just probably going for it. You can't really save and, continue to lead the pack. So we'll just have to continue to use the draft and just hope that, if they're going to make a pit stop, they can make it and have things turn out for what they want.
That would be ideal for everybody as Logan Clampett continues to lead. I have to imagine Clampett's led the most laps in this race. He's been out front more than anyone I can remember. Also been pretty much up front the entire race. Seth the Merchant right on his bumper right now. Maybe just thinking of the strategy he wants. We have a caution on the track. Must have been an accident.
Gonna have to try to track that one down because I didn't see it. I see one guy slow on the back straightaway. Have to see who that is. Looks like the number 94 machine. That's Brennan McGee. Guys, what did you see?
Unfortunately, I just missed it, and I can't quite see it with my camera availability.
Oh, I'm taking a look at it right now, actually. Through 1 and 2, it looks like Brennan McGee got tapped into the wall there, and then bumper hooked around on the back straightaway, and around he goes. He almost got nailed by cars that were coming by, but it looks like that number 94 Farmer's machine, he's got some significant damage, so I believe he has at least one quick repair left, so he'll be able to get that machine back up there. But boys, that changes everything. We're going to go under caution here for the third time tonight. That's going to mean I think we stretched out, probably take the green flag around 70 or 71, and that puts us within the pit road window.
Yeah, everyone can come down pit road, get 4 tires, get a tank of fuel, and they'll be good to go to the end. And with about the lap count we're at right now, they should be good for 1 to 2 to maybe even 3 green-white checkers, but 3 would be close.
Yeah, it definitely would be, and obviously tires at that point, if we do get to a green-white checkered, would have to be a discussion, and being that these guys would probably be 30-lap-old tires or more at that point. Might have to see if someone wants to play the fresh rubber game, but it seems like most guys are talking about track position more important, especially late, so have to see how those things play out as your leaders are on pit road.
Yeah, the leaders are heading down pit road, and I want to hop on board with the number 4 machine of Tyler Head. We're going to try to talk to him after pit road here. Well, let's talk about his last run. He was doing pretty well up inside the top 10, and then he found himself in a hairy situation when the field pretty much closed up, and he got knocked down on the inside. He did one well of a job keeping it off everybody, but he is heading down pit road right now in that number 4 machine. Looks like he's on the lead lap, and you know what that means here at Daytona. He came in I think about 15th or 20th, and he's going to be on the lead lap, but he's going to have a clean car, I believe, and that means on the lead lap with a clean car, you're still in it. So I think Tyler Head might be in an okay situation here. Let's see if we can get a ring in with him. Tyler Head and Steve Bonesteel up in the booth. Do you got a copy, driver?
I've got you.
All right, my friend. Well, last run looked a little bit wild there for that number 4 machine, and I want to say heck of a job keeping it up off the field there. Looks like you were practicing for the 24 hours race there, taking the bus stop. Talk about the racing so far tonight.
No, it's been very intense. I mean, there's a lot of good drivers out here that generally know what they're doing, and that means it's very hard to get a leg up on anybody. So I was feeling pretty good there initially, right up until I did a lot more lawn mowing than I planned to in January, but caught a caution, so I think got a chance to spice it up again a little bit.
Yeah, that's what we were just talking about up here in the booth. You're on the lead lap. It looks like your car's in pretty good condition, and we've got plenty of racing left, but it looks like we should be able to go at least until 1 or 2 green-white checkers if we stay green. So how's that number 4 machine feeling on tire wear and fuel for the rest of the race?
It's been feeling pretty good. I mean, the thing is that it's just very hard to be able to get a leg up. I mean, I'm going to be 20th, 25th, somewhere in that range on this restart, and it's going to be really hard to get the track position back because of how good everybody between me and the front is. So I'm glad that there's 30 some odd laps here. I'm hoping most of it's green so that I have as much time as possible to try to get up there, but it's going to be really interesting for sure.
Well, let's take a moment to talk about the passing here, because that's something that we almost seem to forget to talk about sometimes at Daytona. You have to pass cars. So here with this older surface, how do you do it? Like with the new surface, you just find a buddy, you just push past people. But here it's a little more different than that. Do you dive to the inside line? How do you navigate your way to the front of the field?
Well, it's really interesting because the momentum between the lanes ebbs and flows, and really getting a good pusher behind you or being able to give a good push to the guy in front of you can make the whole difference for the entire line. That plus navigating around the bumps on this track. I mean, you hit a bump wrong and it'll completely kill the momentum for yourself and everybody unfortunate enough to be lined up behind you. So really it's just being able to work really well with the people around you, time your runs out pretty well, find your way into the correct lane at the correct time, and keep the momentum up and don't get bogged down on the bumps.
Well, it sounds like you've got it all played out well in your head. Let's see if it comes to fruition here as we're getting ready to double them back up here. We're going to have about 30 laps to go here at Daytona International Speedway. Tyler, thanks for taking a couple of moments to come talk to us up here in the booth. Wish you the best of luck.
Thank you. It's a lot easier to be said than done, but we'll see how it works out.
And that's why they call it the I've Got Ballz 250, right?
That's right.
Heck yeah, driver. All right, Petey and Shane, I'm going to turn it back over to you guys.
Yeah, a story that we didn't get to mention there. A close battle off pit road. Seth DeMerchant barely beat Logan Clampett out. So when we go green next time by, it's going to be DeMerchant on the inside and Clampett on the outside.
And also under this caution, we got a fair amount of guys taking some wave bys, getting back on the lead lap. Sean Butler, Aaron Smith, Brandon McKissick, Christian Budd, Dylan Roberts, Jeff Drake, and also Ryan Kuhn, some of those guys took weight buys. They're back on the lead lap. We're going to have 36 cars on the lead lap, and I can't remember one of these events where we've had that many cars still left running in this race, better yet on the lead lap. So a lot of guys that can still win this thing.
Yeah, we still have 37 cars running, Blake near 1 lap down, so pretty much if you're still in this race, you have some sort of chance to win it. We'll see if that actually comes to fruition, but on this restart, Shane, just 30 laps to go. 30 laps to go. How much more hectic do you think these 30 laps will be than the last 60 we saw?
Well, this is definitely one of those cautions that you can say is the turning point in this race. I think this one's probably the one where the gloves really come off, and now no one's probably going to hold anything back. They're just going to go for it. If you've got anything left in the tank, pretty much start to use it now, because once we start getting, some big-time double file racing, you're not going to have a lot of time, not a lot of room to get to the front. So the guys are going to try to make their moves now, especially on this restart while everyone's close.
We'll see how it goes down, but like I said, DeMerchant on the inside. On the outside, it'll be Clampett. Third, you're going to have Wilson, and fourth will be Howe. For the first time in this race, we have the 2 Nemco cars making their way towards the front, the 64 and 87. They make up the third row. Here we go, getting ready to go green flag. This time by field in the hands of Seth DeMerchant, and he will choose to go now. Green flag in the air. We're down in the lane. For the first time in this race, the outside line really kind of hung with the inside line.
Yeah, it's going to be neck and neck down this side stretch into turn number 1. Seth DeMerchant on that inside. He's been one of those guys, along with many, that will just take the lane that works inside, outside, doesn't matter. And he's got that inside lane hooked up right now as they're going to make their way down the backstretch.
Yeah, he has a lot of help on the inside from Wilson, but now he jumps back up top in front of Clampett, and on the inside, the door is open for Wilson and Davis if they want to go. Wilson doesn't have enough help right now from Davis, so that'll allow on the outside line DeMerchant to continue to lead and have the ability to come down. Here they come through the corner. Will DeMerchant throw a block? No, he will not. Wilson got to the inside, but Davis is nowhere to be found, so it's going to be DeMerchant's lap to lead as the inside line has lost all of their momentum, as it's going to be the top 4 cars on the outside.
Yeah, strong push from that outside. All those guys up top pushing hard, and they are gapped that inside pretty substantially. And that's just what it's going to take, is getting some separation. And now they're in the middle of the track, controlling the front of the pack, controlling the draft. That's the keys to staying out front, is just keeping that inside lane down. And right now they definitely did that.
They certainly did. Blade Whitt, by the way, is an 87 car. First time this race we've said his name. Like I said, those 2 Nemco cars kind of were chilling near the back for a lot of this race, but it is go time in the 87 and 64. On their way to the front as Whitt makes a move down low for the 3rd position. He's trying to find a way around that 83 of Howe. Nothing doing quite yet as Howe cuts down in front of him. Here we go with Colin Keister on the outside now, the number 8 machine trying to make a move. Howe on the inside of Merchant, but he, likewise, the 58, has no help this time, and once again that outside line is going to prevail as the outside line really is starting to get strong.
Strong move by 83 Brandon Howe. He cut it to the inside. He got a car and a half lengths advantage, and he almost got to Seth DeMerchant, but he had absolutely no one behind him, so he's going to fall back again. That was a very strong move. If he can get some help, or if anyone can get some help pulling a move like that, that might just be how you're going to supersede the front. And here we go. Logan Clampett to the inside. He's got some help, and he's just going to swap positions, go right back up to the top of the lead.
Yeah, on the low side now, Colin Keister is going to challenge him. Keister with a lot of help from Justin Noblock. Noblock has run a very good race so far. He's been near the front pretty much this whole event. Those top 5 cars pretty much have been up front the whole race. Then the next 5 cars are guys we haven't seen a whole lot of yet. Keister will lead that time by, but Clampett on the high side continuing to challenge him. Curious to see what some of these cars, maybe running 6th through 10th, start to do to try to make a move, because these top 5 have been pretty impenetrable this whole event.
Yeah, pretty much. Some of those guys back 7th around 10th, you were talking about, Petey. They're pretty much picking the line that's moving, trying to get as many cars, or is trying to pass as many cars as you can. The way to get to the lead is just to try to pass as many cars as you can. It's as simple as that. So you take the runs when you can, and then make adjustments, pick the lane that's moving, and that's how some of these guys have made their way where they are. You got the 13 car, Justin Noblock. I mean, he's doing a great job in that inside lane. He's been all over throughout this race, but he's got his way back up to the front, and he's in a good position along with a lot of these guys. We're getting down here about 26 to go.
Yeah, next time by will be the 3/4-way mark of this race. Is up top, Keister continues to lead. He's going to get a push now from DeMerchant down low. Clampett continues the battle. And, Logan Clampett has run a phenomenal race as well. But as we get down to the nitty-gritty, it's all about keeping these cars clean and avoiding the big one. Keister that time will take the lead, so move Keister into the top spot. He controls both lanes, but he'll move back up top to continue to control the high side. And it almost seems to me, Shane, the high side, the slightly better place to be right now.
Yeah, it definitely seems that way. It seems like it's the most organized, or at least is staying the most organized at this point right now on the run. It's kind of hard to say that they're exactly neck and neck, literally a dead tie down the side stretch there. It's all about who can get the momentum on the last lap. A lot of these kinds of races come down to that last lap, especially turns 3 and 4. If you can get a push, if you can get the run, that's usually when you can make up the ground and be the last one to make the move and be the first one across the line, because that's what all these guys are obviously going for, is to be first. So, yeah, it's going to be interesting, still side by side.
And Steve, I want to send it down to you in the tower on pit road. What are you hearing from these crew chiefs about this last quarter of the race here?
Well, it sounds like for the most part these guys are they're all good on fuel, and they're a little bit nervous about tires. Some of the drivers out there inside the top 15 are saying, hey, be careful out here, just keep that right front, keep it saved as much as possible. But another thing I'm also hearing on the radio chatter is these guys are starting to get frustrated. The guys that are about 10th and 15th in between there, they want to start moving up to the front of the field, but it's tough if you don't have the help. That inside line, those 4 drivers down there, we've got that number 40 machine of Clampett down there. He's trying to lead it. He's doing a nice job, but we're almost 3 wide, and we are 3 wide down the back straight. Malik Ray looks down there, and he's going to shove it underneath that number 31. He catches the wall. The 31 of Jeremy Davis catches the wall. He saves it. We go back to double file, but these pit crews are frustrated. They can't get their team back up to the front if they fall outside that top 10, because it's too hard to pass. So it looks like if you've been saving, if you don't have help to get to the front, you might be finding yourself in trouble if you're not up there with about 10 to go.
Tough break there for Davis, as you said. That really hurts his chances. Up front, Colin Keister continues to show the way. A couple new faces getting involved. We see that 04 car. He has made his way near the front now. And a lot of just new faces trying to make their way near the top. We still have a small pack of cars near the back of the field, expecting maybe 1 or 2 big wrecks. But I'm with you, Steve. About 20 laps to go here. I think it's time to go. It's time to be near the front as it gets real hectic for the lead.
Well, when it's time to go, and Shane and Petey, I'm sure you guys know where I'm going with this. When it's time to go and the whole field knows it, that's when the big one opens back up. We already had an accident earlier on today, early on about the first lap, about first 20 laps or so. That was about 12 cars. But right now we have 30-plus cars still on the lead lap, and they're all within about 5 seconds of each other. And, when everyone starts getting the same idea on their mind and everyone's fighting for the same piece of real estate, you know what that means, boys? That opens us up for a big one when you're all fighting for that same piece of real estate. So right now we're double file. We're minding our P's and Q's up at the front of the field. The number 8 machine's looking pretty strong down on the inside line. Keister, he's got the number 40 Clampett right behind him, and we got plenty of talent up on the outside with the number 37 of DeMerchant, followed by the 42 of Ray on the outside. And oh, what a move by the number 48 Clampett. He moves up there, but we got all this talent, but we got a lot of drivers out here that earned their way into the I've Got Ballz 250 here tonight, and they all want a piece at that $150 for winning the race here tonight. And we are coming down. We got 20 laps to go almost here live at Daytona International Speedway. Thanks for tuning in on Checkered Flag Interactive for the 8th annual I've Got Ballz 250. As we have ourselves one well of a battle up here. We got a lot of jostling for position. I'm going to turn it back over to you guys up in the booth, Shane and Petey, as we get ready to take it to the checker.
Yeah, definitely coming towards the end of this race. The intensity, no doubt, has picked up and will continue to. So we got an interesting situation. We got the top 10. They're all in a pack. Then we have the 11th place driver, Jarrett Liebert. He was hanging on to that pack. He's now falling back to the second pack. That's been led by the 00 of Adam Samson. These guys are all single file, and what they're trying to do right now is they're trying to get organized, get together, have a long, pretty much tango line, you could say. Congo line, there's a better word for that, but they're trying to get back up to the front so they can get to this front pack and then start to pass. Passing is only going to make them lose time, so now they're just trying to make it happen. You have to get there before you can actually make a move.
That is for certain, as on the outside, the Merchant continues to race for that top spot. On the inside, it's Keister, followed by No Block and Witt. Nicholas Doucette also returning to the front for the first time in quite a while. So these 8 are the ones that are mainly jostling for this lead right now, as they're going to go by the lap car of Ryan Kuhn. Kuhn has had a rough race so far, has really been a non-factor. Up front, Keister continuing to show the way, and I've been so impressed with Colin Keister this race. If you remember, he was involved in that first big wreck we had, but he fought back, he's continued to claw at it, and now he finds himself leading with under 20 laps to go.
Yeah, Colin, anytime he's out there in the super speedway, he's very competitive, along with pretty much everyone in the top 10 here. These guys, as you were saying before, Petey, no doubt have earned it, and they're in position here, less than 20 to go. Anything can happen, but you know, first thing you can do is put yourself in position, and these guys have definitely done that. Side by side, continuing the inside lane, the outside lane. They're all working. It's just going to come down to which is going to win.
Well, one of the guys I've been listening to on Pit Road, guys, the number 87 of Blade Witt, he's slowly made himself back up inside the top 10. He fell out for a little while there, but he's that third car down on the inside line. He doesn't have a lot of sponsors on it. He doesn't really stand out, but maybe that right there might be part of the strategy, as he's right there behind a lot of experience down on that inside line. He's got No Block. He's also got that number 8 machine of Colin Keister in front of him, and that right there is about a 5,000 I rating average in front of him. So that number 87 machine, he's got something thinking, and he's trying to make it work on the inside right now as we are counting down the laps. We almost have 15 to go, just a couple more times by, and we've got that 15 to go. And man, what a race we have had so far. We still have 10 cars plus within 1 second of each other here, and there's plenty of cars just kind of hanging outside the top 10 waiting to get there, as we almost had contact with Malik Ray. He almost came down on number 83 machine of Brandon Howe, guys. That was tight.
It is go time, and everyone certainly knows it. Up front, these drivers know they are coming on just the last 15 laps of this race, and this is when the intensity, it's going to get at about, I'll say 90%. With 10 to go, that's when you're at the max, 100%. In 5 to go, you're at about 110%. Everyone's racing without their brain anymore. This time by, though, it's going to be Justin No Block taking the lead. Will he get it at the stripe? It looks like the 8 car is going to come back. And, you know, for as long as No Block's been out front today, I really can't recall him leading any laps. He's been running about second or third this whole race.
Yeah, he's been really close. He's been in the top 5 pretty much most of the time. He's been up towards the front. He's either been right there battling for the lead or somewhere farther back, but he's up there now. He's leading the inside lane side by side to get that advantage. Colin Keister, a little bit of a moment there off of turn 2. Going to come down to who can push who, or at least draft with each other. And right now, Seth the Merchant outside lane giving a huge push to Colin. He's going to go to the bottom in turns 3 and 4.
That he will. Now here we go. The 8 car of Keister is going to move up high. Here comes No Block down low. No Block on the inside races hard, but once again he's going to be denied this lap. It's Seth the Merchant pushes Keister at the stripe, and it's going to be Keister leading yet another lap, this time by officially 15 laps to go from the Daytona International Speedway. And the 8th annual I've Got Ballz 250 is coming right down to it, as these guys are starting to race awfully aggressive up front. A few more bumps, a few more taps, and a lot less commodity going on near the front.
Yeah, they're still neck and neck. Update on that second pack. They're still kind of single file. They're just lurking. They can't really get anything together. We've seen a couple of guys, about 5 more guys make their way. They're now in the lead back draft. So they're trying to make themselves in position. But these top 7, they're pretty much unstoppable right now. They have control of this race. They are where they are, and it's going to be hard to beat these top 7 or 8 or so. So they're in position, just side by side, swapping positions. It's just going to come down to that last lap and where you are. And looks like right now you're going to have to be in the lead, or at least in second, if you're going to want to win this race.
All right, well, up front we still have Keister and No Block going at it. These two haven't really been the 2 dominant leaders. I'd say that's the Merchant and Clampett, but guys that have been near the front this entire race, and now when it's most important, they're running right up with it. And Shane, I got to ask you, do you expect to see another caution in this one, or do you think we're going to keep it clean for our 13 laps?
It's hard to say, Petey, honestly. I mean, right now it seems pretty chaotic, but I mean, they're doing a good job of keeping it together. As we're actually seeing, I think Justin Wilson, the 58 car, he's going to make his way down pit road. The first car to come down pit road. Maybe these guys are short on fuel. We have to get an update on that, but he's all by his lonesome right now, pitted from inside the top 12.
I have to imagine that wasn't a planned stop considering how alone he was, but we'll try to figure out what happened there. But Shane, to talk about that a little bit, I don't think we will. I think we'll get another caution. I just can't see it going green to the distance. You know, things are going to get too hectic. You know, maybe someone in the middle of the pack's going to try to get too wild, but I'm sure at some point we'll see another caution as DeMerchant makes a wild move to get down to the low side, but it pays off. DeMerchant takes over the top spot now. Now he'll control that very important outside line.
Well, I tell you what, guys, lap 100 is going to be important, but lap number 90, pretty much 97 to 99 is also going to be important, because if we get a yellow, you want to be the car to lead them down to the white flag and the green flag when we get back to green flag racing. So these guys, they're not only fighting for lap 100 and the victory here in the 8th I've Got Ballz 250, but they want to be the leaders when it comes down to that green-white checkered, should we have one. We've got 15, 16 cars within 1 second of each other down the back straightaway. Look at this, 3 wide here, and the 2007 layout of this track, man, it is tough to do it, but we have been doing it there. Colin Keister slips up the track, he keeps it down, he slides back in front of the number 40 at Clampett. We are still side by side for the top 8, and then we're single file from that point on for a little bit there, and then we go back double file a little bit further back outside the top 10. But right now the top 10 still single file. We got Justin Noblock out in front of the field with Seth DeMerchant on his outside, Nick Duquette, Colin Keister, Brandon Howe, Logan Clampett. Brennan McGee's made his way back up there. Malik Ray, Gabriel Mauricio, and then Andy Tropiano is your top 10 as we are coming down to the final 10 laps to go as we get ready to cross the stripe for those final 10 here.
Yeah, Brennan McGee is one of those guys who was in that second pack, and he made his way up to the front pack. Not everyone has been able to do that, but he's made his way up into the front pack, and he's now passing some of those guys. He passed Malik Ray, just went by Logan Clampett on the outside lane. So Brennan McGee and a couple other guys making their way into the top 5. You got to get up to the top 5 to be able to make the move.
I was going to say it myself, credit to Brennan McGee. He has really come out of nowhere. He was involved in our most recent caution on lap 70, but he has fought his way through this pack, and here we go. He's going underneath Colin Keister. He is now inside the top 5 as the low line is the place to be right now. Seth DeMerchant just got left out all in his lonesome on that outside line with 10 laps to go. That could be huge for DeMerchant, although if I know anything about Seth, he'll find a way to find his way back near the front before this thing is over. Trust me on that. But now we have Brennan McGee running in 4th, and this is really the first time this race we've seen the 94 running this high.
And it looks like he knows what he's doing there, but we've got pit stops. It looks like we're not good to the checker, as it looks like about half of the top 10 just cut down pit lane, boys.
Yeah, we had another little incident there. Someone knocked the cone down, and the 5 of Jared Gleibert got a little bit into the back of the 29 there of Matthew Molnar, but it looks like everything will be okay there. But you're right, Steve. Everyone's coming down pit road. Now the question is there anyone out there who feels like they can go the distance?
I feel like it's going to be tight there. It looks like we got a lot of big names coming down pit road. I see the number 42, Malik Ray, the number 8 machine of Keister. He's down the 09 of Kessler. Of course, Molnar as well. So we got a lot of drivers thinking about coming down. Let's turn our attention back up to the front of the field. Nick Duquette, Brandon Howe, Brennan McGee. Looks like the 51 machine's bringing it down. Duquette's coming down. He's a previous winner. Here comes the 40 as well of Clampett. We got a lot of names coming down pit road, so it looks like we are not good to go to the checker.
And man, the stakes are high when you're pitting this late in the event, under 10 laps to go. You cannot afford a speeding penalty. That's going to for sure eliminate your chances if that happens. A lot of these guys just coming onto pit road, locking up those tires. And speaking of tires, interesting to see who's taking tires and who isn't. I saw a couple of 2-tire stops, even some no fuel or some fuel only stops. So yeah, all kinds of strategies, but you got to think track position's got to be the focus here.
And I'm hearing from the pit crews up on their boxes right now. It looks like they were about 4 to 5 laps short if you're up in front of a field, and then 2 to 3 laps short if you were not in front of the field. So right now we're seeing our next round of drivers coming down. Brandon Howe, Brennan McGee. It looks like the number 45's coming down as well. Maybe a speeding penalty for the number 94. We'll have to see there. But it looks like everybody out on the lead lap is going to have to bring it down. And I tell you what, with 10 laps to go in a race, this is the toughest pit stop you'll ever have to make for these drivers out here as they're getting ready to come back out on the track. Guys, this is going to be big. Over to you guys.
Yeah, it looks like when this all clears up, we're going to have our leader be Seth DeMerchant's pack. I think the leader will actually be Garrett Lowe. I'm trying to figure out all the logistics here, but it does look like Lowe. It might be actually Logan Clampett as we come by the stripe this time by. It's Garrett Lowe will be in the second position. Logan Clampett will be the leader when this all sorts out, but Lowe makes a wild move past him. Lowe up top, it gets dicey, and Lowe will barely clear Clampett, but not enough time to come down. Still, it's Lowe on the high side, trying to take that lead away, but this is going to be our battle for the lead. It looks like everyone that was racing for the lead pretty much survived, and Garrett Lowe somehow made up a ton of ground.
And while that might be the battle for the lead, guys, they're coming up on Brennan McGee, the number 83 machine, of how they came off pit road. They're right there in the middle of the pack. We're 3 wide, almost losing it there. The 37 through the middle, absolute chaos, and they hold on to it coming across the tri-oval.
Oh, and Doucette just drove into Keister.
And just as I say that, Blade Witt almost involved in that one. It looks like we do have a couple of cars going around. Oh man, we were so close, and it looks like someone just got caught just the slightest there and goes around up at the front of the field, and that's going to change absolutely everything here at the end of the race.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened. Nick Doucette pretty much just turned right down in the door of Colin Keister, and that's what started that caution. I'm really not sure why that happened.
It looked like he was just tracking up by that outside wall. Maybe he didn't know he was 3 wide. That 0-7 on the inside, he had no idea what was coming for him. Andy Tropiano did a great job down on the inside in the tri-oval to keep his wheels underneath of him and not wreck more cars than it did.
Steve.
But that changes everything.
We have a huge story, actually. Jeremy Davis, Martin Porter, and Andrew Farnaz waited to take their pit stops. They took them last. When the caution came out, they were cycling back to be lapped by the field, but the field hadn't got there yet. So when we go back green, Davis, Porter, and Farnaz will be the top 3 for a green-white checker.
And that right there, we were talking about it earlier. Some of those drivers were drivers we were watching in that second and third pack. They were sitting back there 15 seconds plus back. And now with the timing of that yellow, it looks like as long as they completed their stops, they got their service done, and I believe that they did. They're going to be out in front of the field here as we get ready to go back to green flag racing. We're going to try to talk to Martin Porter there, driver number 27 under yellow. But guys, before we do that, everyone completed pit stop, right?
I believe so, though now it looks like the 64 and 27 are going to come down, so maybe they didn't. Keep an eye on the 88. Let's see what the deal is with him.
Yeah, we'll have to see. It looks like all 3 of them come in, so perhaps none of them were able to complete their pit stop service there. Maybe they just drove through pit lane, and that right there, I mean, that could have been huge, and it might just cycle them back to where they were. But one thing we have to mention, of course, with 3 green-white checkers in the potential books here, we could have anything happen. We still have 32 cars on the green or on the lead lap, boys. And that means pretty much if anyone has a clean car, or even if you don't have a clean car and it comes down to that last green-white checker, you still have a chance at it.
Yeah, you definitely do. And looks like the guys are going to cycle to the lead, the likes of Logan Clampett, Seth the Merchant, Brandon Howe, just to name a few. I mean, these guys, they've been in the top 5 for most of this event, and they were in the top 3 pretty much in the last couple of laps before pit stop started. So they were able to make the clean pit stops. Not sure if anyone who did make a pit stop got a speeding penalty. Didn't see any, but if they did, obviously they are way towards the back. But going back to those guys, they're up to the front. They've done the job of that, and now it's going to come down to just 1 or 2 laps of just side-by-side racing, whoever gets there first. And anytime you're here at Daytona, that's going to be easier said than done.
For certain, as it will look like Clampett will be our leader when we get things back going, but like you said, 1 to 2 laps, your car's barely up to speed by the end of the first lap, and then the second lap, there will be time for a few moves, but this is going to be pure chaos here to end this race in what has been a phenomenal 8th running of the I've Got Ballz 250.
It's been an absolutely wonderful race, probably one of the best ones we've seen thus far. I want to try to get a ring in with the driver of the number 51 Exalta machine. He's driving out there with a little bit of damage on his rear end. Nicholas Duquette, it's Steve Bonesteel up in the booth. I see you there. You're driving inside the top 10. Do you have a copy, driver?
I hear you. How's it going? How's it going in the booth?
Oh, it's been a beautiful night of racing. I tell you what, these cars are doing a wonderful job out there on this surface. It looks brutal, I'm not going to lie. I've seen a lot of wheeling and dealing up there in the top 10, including out of the number 51 machine yourself. What do you have here as we get ready to get into green-white checker situations? How do you get from where you're at up to the front?
Well, first off, if the viewers aren't enjoying what they're seeing, I don't think there's anything else we can do. Like, there's literally nothing else we can do to make this more entertaining. If you guys aren't enjoying this,
we're just gonna end the broadcast here.
Yeah, basically, because like we're giving it all we have right now. We've been giving it all we've had since the green flag dropped about 98 laps ago. The setup's unbelievable. The track car combo is unbelievable. For the most part, I think we're all having a good time. It's been really crazy. There's been a few questionable moves by a few drivers. I mean, that's just it's such a struggle to get up to the front of the field in this, and it takes time, and it takes a lot of time and effort trying to pick off each and every car. And I honestly don't know what I'm going to do. I kind of have something planned in my mind that I'm running through with my FSR teammate and peak driver Garrett Lowe. We'll see if it works out, and hopefully it can get us a few positions ahead, and maybe we'll have another green white checkered.
Well, here tonight, of course, with so many, so much purse on the line, I mean, even finishing 5th can earn you quite a bit more. In the past, it's been top 3, and if you don't finish top 3 or win a clean race award, that's about it. But everybody inside that top 10 is coming away with at least something, and that right there is pretty awesome here as we get ready, probably taking at least probably 1 to green or 2 to green here, and it looks like we are doubling them up. So we're going to get ready to go green flag racing. But Nick, before we get back to get ready for the action here, talk about the I've Got Ballz just in general. I mean, this race, 8th year running, it's been absolutely incredible here tonight. What does it mean to have Ballz here in this race?
Well, you sure gotta have more than 2. I'll put it that way.
Have more in the back, tonight. Right?
Exactly. This is my 4th time running this race. I saw the checkered flag in my first race and got wrecked off of turn 4, but every race seems to everyone wants to win the I Got Ballz 250, and especially this year with so much money on the line, and even like you said earlier, just the top 10's going to come out with a nice little bit of money, but everyone's just going to want to go for that extra position to get that extra few dollars. So that's what's going to be the make or break here for certain drivers, and whether if we get another green white checkered or not. It's going to be really aggressive here for these last few laps.
Well, it's been a blast watching all of you guys down there on the track, and I'm going to turn it back over to Petey and Shane. I'll get you back to your race channel. We wish you the best of luck. Nick, over to you guys up in the booth.
As we get ready here for green-white checkered number 1, we're going to have Logan Clampett, Seth the Merchant, your front row, and oh, guys, this is going to be big time here. There's nothing to hold back. It's balls to the wall, and it's going to be basically that. Anything can happen.
Anything can happen for sure. Logan Clampett will lead him down on the inside. On the outside, the Merchant will lead the outside line that hopes to get things going pretty early on. Here we go off turn 4. The pace car exits, and we're green, 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 and a good jump for the outside lane. Looks like everyone got going on that start.
Neck and neck across the tri-oval there, going into the side straightaway. Inside line, just a hair of an advantage. Logan Clampett being pushed by Brandon Howe. Still neck and neck into turns 1 and 2. It's anyone's game.
Anyone's game for sure. On the outside, Seth the Merchant trying to get that lane going, trying to get the horses up, but not in time because Clampett throws the block. Now the cars that have been running up front all night long are pretty much on that high side, and they get things going. The Merchant's now clear to come down low if he wants. This time by, they will be taking the white flag when they exit turn 4. This could confirm the race.
The Merchant still all over the back bumper of Logan Clampett. Inside lane, we got 3 cars. The first car on the outside is Justin Noblock. They get jostled up, they move all around, but Logan Clampett leads with 1 to go.
And we're at the point of no return, white flag.
Point of no return, white flag in the air, and it's Clampett out front. He continues to show the way. Right behind him is Seth the Merchant. They battle side by side for 3rd behind him. Justin Noblock on the low side. He makes contact with Howe. They wreck behind him. It will not matter. The entire field is wrecked. It's a 2-horse race for the checkered flag. Up front, it's Logan Clampett. Second is Seth the Merchant. It is between these 2 drivers who will get back to the stripe first. Clampett's going to go up top. The Merchant tries to get a draft run on him. This is going to be awfully difficult for Seth the Merchant, but if anyone anyone can do it, it would be the driver of the 37. Here they come off of turn number 4. Does the Merchant have anything left in the tank? He gets a good draft run on him coming to the tri-oval, but he will not have enough. Checkered flag is in the air, and Logan Clampett takes the 8th annual I've Got Ballz 250.
Crazy ending. There's still some guys wrecking across the finish line, all kinds of chaos afterwards, but you couldn't have predicted that. Only 2 cars in the position at least to win at the end, and a heck of a job by Logan Clampett. He was aggressive. I said it before, had the aggressive strategy, and he was out in front of all the chaos when it was all said and done, and he wins the 8th annual I Got Ballz 250. What a finish, guys.
And taking a look at that, congratulations to him for that victory. And I tell you what, as a driver, that right there is what you want when you come to the white flag, knowing it's just you and one other driver you have to fend off. But taking a look at that replay there, going into turn 1 and 2, it looked like that 13 machine, he was just kind of running a little bit off that yellow line. He got a little bit of contact there with the number 83 of Howard, who is outside, and the 13 of No Block. He had someone down on his inside, and from that point on, it was, well, everyone into the outside wall in turn 1 and 2. I counted about 10 cars, maybe plus, involved in that one. But somehow, some way, we had those couple guys up at the front keep it clean, and then we had Parker Alexander. He was trying to chase him down there in that 45 machine. Tom Wetmore, he was right there. Nick Kessler, they weren't able to quite do it, but Logan Clampett comes away victorious here tonight in the 8th annual I've Got Ballz 250 here at Daytona International Speedway. What a finish we had, as Logan Clampett is burning them down with driver Seth the Merchant on the front straightaway.
Incredible finish to that race, and what a great 8th annual running of the I've Got Ballz 250. And we say every year there's a little bit better influx of talent in the race, a little bit better of strategy in the race. We see a little less cautions every year, and this race was just the peak of this event. Such a great event we just had here today, and I can't wait to see the 9th one, because the 8th one was incredible.
Yeah, for sure. We're going to take a moment just to take a quick commercial break. We're going to get our drivers finished top 3 and a couple of others up here in the booth for interviews. We're going to step away for about 30 seconds. We'll come right back with more coverage live from Daytona. Daytona, as we get ready here for post-race coverage. We just had the 8th annual I've Got Ballz 250, and it looks like the driver that had the most balls here tonight was Mr. Logan Clampett. Logan, it's Steve up at the booth. You got a copy down there doing your donuts on the inside?
Yeah, I got you, Steve.
Yeah, Logan, it looks like you're able to pull it off there. I was saying, as we caught that checkered flag action, you were really in the best position you could ever really ask yourself to be in as it comes at a super speedway. You only had 1 or 2 guys to fight off, and in this case, it was only 1 more that was able to be right behind you. What does that mean when you're racing for 1 lap to go here at Daytona, when you only have 1 guy you have to fight off?
You know, it's really nerve-wracking, but thankfully, I mean, it sucks like they all wrecked behind us, but it just made it easier for me since Seth didn't have any help behind him to mount a run on me. But I saw he was laying back, trying to get a run on me. I mean, we were working together the whole time, which is, you know, it's the best. It's really like awesome to work with someone that's, you know, 1-2 like that, because he was telling me like if they were coming high, coming low, you know, where all the runs are behind him, so we could, you know, move up to those lanes. And Seth is probably the best guy to work with on super speedways wherever you go. He's really good at them, especially at Daytona 07. But you know, it's really awesome to get this win. I think this is my 3rd or 2nd time running this this race. So yeah, it's all just really exciting, and I'm glad everything worked out there towards the end.
Well, in the 8th annual I've Got Ballz 250 is probably the biggest one by far we've had yet. Talk about the racing in general. How'd you find yourself up inside that top 5 all night long? You were fighting for it left and right.
The racing was super awesome the whole entire time. This is the most fun I've had on a super speedway in a long time. But everyone seemed clean. You know, we were brawling for the lead several times. It was just overall just such a fun race to do, especially at this track with this setup with this car. It all just works out just so good where everyone can race, you know, their hearts out and you know, just have a bunch of fun. Like I know we almost wrecked there a couple times, for example, and we all saved it. So just the talent at the front of the field was, you know, really good. So we all just kind of held it together, you know, the whole entire time.
Well, and talking about the biggest race too, you're walking away with a little bit more cash in your pocket. Talk about not having to pay an entry fee, and this perhaps being one of the biggest races in 2020 for iRacing.
Yeah, it's definitely a good feeling to walk away with a little extra cash without an entry fee. So it's all because of you know, Brennan, and I don't know who else hosts this race, but you know, just thank you to all these guys that, you know, run this race, host this race. You know, it's pretty cool to not be able to pay an entry fee and being able to win this race and come out with this cash.
Well, congratulations, Logan, on a great win to you here tonight. You definitely earned it. You fought hard for it, and we thank you for taking a little bit of time here in Victory Lane to come up and talk to us up in the CFI booth. So we hope to see you next year, and congratulations once again at your win here. And it appears that you've definitely got those balls.
Hey, Steve.
Petey, I'm going to turn it over to you with second place driver Seth the Merchant.
Well, I'm down here with Seth the Merchant, and Seth, I know you're not happy to finish second, but certainly still taking a good chunk of cash there and a good finish for you. Tell me, was there really anything you could do in that 1v1 situation on the last lap with Logan?
Not really when the whole field wrecked behind me. There was no push coming from behind. I tried everything I could to build a run in 3 and 4, but just not enough time. I think maybe if I would have offset more, like gone up against the wall and like tried to break the draft a little bit, I could have done something, but still really happy with P2 there.
Certainly a fun event, and let's just talk a little about this race, Seth. You know, the I've Got Ballz event, this was the 8th one. The 7 previous ones have been pretty good, but this year, just not many cautions and a ton of great racing. From your perspective, driving near the front for a majority of this event, what was it like for you in that 37 car?
Yeah, very, very good race. We almost wrecked like 2 or 3 times, but we got a lot of talented drivers that were in here and raced went very well. This is the first time I've ever run this event, and it was a lot of fun.
All right, and before I let you go, Seth, just anyone you want to thank, any teammates or sponsor crew?
Just Brandon Cruz, Montsevice for inviting me to run this, and everybody for putting it on, and you guys for broadcasting.
All right, always a pleasure talking to you, Seth. And Steve, I'm going to send it back up to you in the tower.
And thank you, Petey, and thank you, Seth, for taking a little bit of time to talk to us here. And I do believe, Shane, he's trying to fight his way down pit road to talk to our third-place finisher, Parker Alexander there. He almost was able to get up to those top 2, but he wasn't quite able to do so. Shane, do you got it, me?
I got you, Steve.
All right, I'm going to turn you over to Parker.
All right, we're here with Parker Alexander. And Parker, oh, what a crazy green-white checker finish that was. You're around the 10th position when it all started, but somehow able to land it on the podium in 3rd. Take us through those last 2 laps.
Well, I was restarting on the outside line there, and I saw a hole open up on the bottom, and I was like,
We lost you there, Parker.
Looks like we're having technical difficulties down on our pit road equipment.
You got me now?
Yeah,
Yes.
Parker. Come on, we can't keep taking those shots down on pit road.
All right, I got you. It was a fun race. Had a fun time. That last green white checker was crazy. I'm still flustered on how I missed it. Man.
Yeah, definitely a crazy ending there. I guess talk about your progression in the race, because at least from our point of view, it kind of seemed like there were a lot of comers and goers, guys who were toward the front in the beginning and then kind of got shuffled back. It kind of seems like you were all of the above. You were in the front, the back, and then sometimes the middle. How was the craziness of this event, and how did you think the racing was overall?
Oh, it was crazy racing, man. I even got a little heated over the driver's chat because they were getting a little too crazy for my liking, but a bunch of good guys up there who were able to keep it together and not wreck, amazingly.
Yeah, we saw a lot of great racing tonight, and congratulations on that third place finish. That's got to be pretty exciting, especially with all the money that's getting paid out for this event. That's got to be a pretty good Sunday, I guess, for you. Who do you have to thank for tonight's finish?
I got to thank the Winstall Machinist Union, Brandon Cruz-Monsivice and Brandon Howe for putting up the money. It was a fun race. Brendan McGee for hosting it, and everybody at Winstall.
Awesome. Well, thanks a lot for your time, Parker.
Thank you.
Well, that wraps us up from our top 3 finishers, but before we head out for the night and we get ready to ring it out here at Daytona International Speedway, I wanted to take a moment to talk to the number 94 driver, but Brennan McGee, who not only helps put on this race primarily, but he puts on the Winstall Racing League, and he puts on some great events every single year here in iRacing. But for the I've Got Ballz 250, this 8th annual race was probably the best one by far we've seen yet. Brennan, talk about it a little bit.
Well, a lot of setup development went into tonight's setup. First, we started with the tire model V6, then we had to scrap everything a couple times when the new tire model came out, so it took us almost 2 or 3 weeks to get another good setup down, and it sure as hell provided tonight. Thank you guys for broadcasting the race. I can't wait to go back and watch it. Thank you to Brandon Howe and Brandon Cruz-Monsivice for putting forward huge winnings this year. We had a lot of talent in tonight's race, and it certainly showed. I don't think it could have gone a whole lot better, although I think I have a pretty big head injury after crashing off of turn 2.
Oh, no. That's no good, Brennan. Are you going to be able to make it to Winstall next week, driver?
We're on an off week, thank God, going in between seasons before we do V8 Supercar for a season or two, but thank you guys so much for this. Thank you to everybody that showed up. I think we had about 75 to 85 drivers participate between the duels, the qualifying, and the last chance qualifier. It was awesome to have such a huge event, and just a huge thank you to everybody. I really can't say enough because this event went very well. I was talking to a few guys, and it seems like this is probably our most successful I Got Ballz 250 ever, and it may also be our last year that it's 250 miles, because starting next year, due to the competition increase and the winnings increase, it's probably going to be going up to 400 miles.
And that means, do we go to the I've Got Ballz 400, or where do we go from there?
I think we'll cap it at 400. That's already getting pretty long.
I hear you, driver. Well, thank you so much for having us on board for another year of the I've Got Ballz 250. And before we head out, let's run through the results one more time. Petey, over to you to start for the top 10.
Yeah, Steve, I'm just getting the results up here quickly.
Well, I'll talk about the top 3 while you do that. Logan Clampett, all night long, he had an average running order of 6.3 in the field all night long, and that's over all 100 laps. Seth the Merchant was right there with him inside the top 10. He finished in second. And then Parker Alexander in the number 45 machine, he finished third. And then over to you, Petey.
Steve, I do not have a copy of the results right now.
Well, I guess I'll just keep on carrying it down there. Tom Wetmore, a driver we barely got to talk about. He had an average running order of about 18th there all night long. He was able to come away with a 4th place finish. He started in 29th. Nick Kessler in the 01 machine, he was up there inside the top 10 quite a bit. He finishes 5th, followed by Adam Samsel in the 00 machine, then Blade Witt, Matthew Molnar, and then Justin M. Wilson in 9th. Then Jeremy B. Davis rounded out the top 10. Over to you, Shane.
Ali Osman goes ahead and finishes 11th, up from 37th, so pretty good night for him. Aaron Smith started 33rd. He finishes 12th tonight. You got Ryan Williams. He started 13th and finished 13th, so lucky 13s for the 3-car there. 14th, Dylan Roberts. 15th, Martin Porter. 16th went to Jeff Drake. The 17th finishing position tonight was John Poole. 18th, Brandon Cruz Monsaves. Talked to him during the race. He brings it home 18th. Finishing in 19th, Sean M. Butler. He was up towards the front for most of this race, so kind of a disappointing finish, I guess, on his part. And then rounding out the top 20s, Christian Budd.
Tyler Head's going to round out in 21st, followed by Andrew Farinars, Nicholas Duquette. Disappointing night for him. He definitely had high hopes there coming into that final run. We talked to him, followed by Justin Noblock, Garrett Lowe, Brandon McKissick, Jarrett Liebert, Malik Ray in the 42 machine. He had the highest running order average of the night, and unfortunately for him, he's going to be falling way outside the top 20 there for his results here tonight. He finished in 28th, followed by Gabriel Mauricio, Brandon Howe, then Brennan McGee in 31st, Colin Keister, Andy Tropiano, and then Chris Wetz, Justin Roden, Blake Neer, Ryan Kuhn, Jose Solis Jr., Evan Melanson. We've seen him out front in years past, but it looks like 37 laps down for him here tonight. Then Jim Duda, Kian Raleigh Howell, then Jonathan Hernandez, and Philip Snipes rounds out the field. And I tell you what a night of racing we had here at Daytona. And for everybody here at Checkered Flag Interactive, thank you for tuning in for another one of our broadcasts here for the 8th annual IGB 250. It was probably the best one we've ever had, and for Shane, for Petey, and for our friends pushing the button behind the screen, thanks for tuning in, and we will see you next time.